Hey everyone, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Guess who we've got coming later? The first sales book ever read. The man himself, Mr. Brian Tracy, joining us a little bit later. So excited to see you guys. So Jack, if you can, okay, can you just zoom me out so I can see everyone, the panelists, and then we have non-panelists also there. So let me just say hello. So hi, Naomi, good to see you. Helen, good to see you. Connor, good to see you. Jack, good to see you. There's a whole list of people. Amazing. William, Rebecca, Patrick, etc. And then let's have a look at our attendees in the webinar version, because there's two versions. My tribe are in one version. And then we have our attendees from all over the world. Andy Green, good to see you. Andrew Tuck, good to see you. Gabby, good to see you. Gabby, good to see you. David, good to see you. Bruce in South Africa, good to see you. Hey, Izzy, good to see you. Izzy Matthews, Betty Matthews, good to see you. Where do we have? Matt Mancusa, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. I saw that you were standing up for those people that need to be stood up for right now down there in America. So I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you. Richard, good to see you. Rob, good to see you. Scroll faster. Let's see. There's a huge Sandver, good to see you. So I can't mention everyone. Taryn, good to see you. I believe in South Africa, something like that. So we have, from what I can see here, Holland, Ireland, America, Singapore, Malaysia. Where else? Gee whiz, we've got people from all over the world. Listen, first of all, it's amazing to have you here. If you've been following me for a little while, you will know. Hey, Matthew, you will know that I'm a big believer in the following sentence: that the secret to success is to show up, baby. And you're here. Listen, I'm freaking excited for what I'm going to bring you tonight. I've got a killer session, like honestly, killer session for you. Here's my promise to you, that I will guarantee you that if you follow tonight and you take notes, it is impossible for you not to trace a direct increase in sales conversions from tonight. If you think that's pretty cool, give me a thumbs up if I can see you. If I can't see you in my webinar version, please give me a hand up, where you're joining me from all over the world. Give me a hand up, give me a hand. Let me see. Are you with me? One of those irritating speakers. One of the things is, if you're on any of my stuff, if you've ever done a webinar before, one of the things you know is that it's pretty lonely here. You're talking to yourself, right? So, hey, Louise, good to see you. So I require some feedback from you all, which is really, really awesome. So awesome. So listen, let's crack on. Let's get going. I'm worried about time because already I've got an hour and 50 minutes less really to get across to you what often can take. Listen, I could talk about sales for a week and I wouldn't get through everything. No ways. But before we go into the next few slides, let me first ask you some feedback. How was module 1? Alicia, how was module 1? How was John Demartini? Guys, write in the comments in the webinar attendee section. Please write in the comments now. How did you enjoy webinar 1? What was your highlight? What did you enjoy? Write in the comment section. Write in the comment section. Andrew Tuck, write in the comment section. Tom Lawrence, yeah, bloody awesome. Freaking awesome, right? Andrew Tuck on fire. I love it. Yeah, John Demartini was amazing. Hope you learned something. Wendy, amazing to see you, Wendy. Amazing to see you. Belinda, watched it twice. Yeah, what a session, right? What an incredible session. And the stuff that I learned from him that I'd forgotten that I learned and then picked up again. Traveling dentist, Richard. Listen, I tell you right now, I'll tell that story. You can ask my inner circle tribe. Those in my inner circle will tell you that I'm a broken record with that story, because it illustrates the fact just how much we're ignoring the gold right in front of us. The gold right in front of us is our database. Other people would die for our databases, and we've just forgotten about them. We've given up on them. Excited for tonight. Who's that? Wendy. Oh, Wendy McLeod, good to see you. Great session for you to join. Cubs, good to see you. Good to see you. Wait for tonight, Cubs. It's going to blow your mind. Darren. Oh, Darren. Oh, Darren, we've already done some of this stuff. You implemented it, and I know you did your first care plan you ever done because of the strategies, which has been freaking amazing. So cash is still king, especially in this economy. Who is that? Naomi, very nice. Delegate to live a higher self, very cool. Tanya, Paul, awesome. Listen, I appreciate you guys. So let's crack on straight away. It sounds like it was a good session. I've got a big session for you guys tonight. It's going to be, I really believe if when I show you the money math tonight, some of you are going to walk away from this and you would have added, if you understand one little simple concept from tonight, you will easily be able to see how you could add 6 figures to your practice. 6 figures. If you think that's pretty cool, if you'd like to like me to show you how you can add 6 figures and you'll have the math for 6-figure increase by the end of tonight, raise your hand. Give me a hand up. Awesome. Good job. Good job, Jonas. Good to see you. Okay, cool. Let's do this. So we had over, I believe my Jack. How many people watched the last session? 1,000. So 1,200 participants in workshop 1. 1,200 participants in workshop 1. I have no doubt that there's going to be some amazing things that happen. I'll tell you, is it okay, guys? Is it okay if I share with you my big aha from John Demartini? Is that okay? Awesome. You know what he said? When he said one thing, and I was like, wow, that's powerful. Memorizing right now, every single person, you're like from module 1, just that memorizing whatever number you want to see. You know, being able to, can you mention 1,000 of your clients' names? Can you know them? Can you know them intimately? Can you put them in your heart? Do you know who they are? Do you really know who they are? But going through that database, and I know this sounds a little bit woo-woo, 2 things I got. One was just a reminder that. The second thing that I got from Dr. John was, I was watching him many years ago, and I heard him speak about, if you want to be, listen carefully, if you want to be known in your state, you better have images of your whole country. You have to think bigger than the thing you want to achieve. If you want to be known in your country, if you want to be influential in your entire country, you better be thinking global to reach that. And I'll never forget when many years ago, when I heard that, I went and bought a globe. And now, to make a bigger impact global, I've had to put astronomical models, etc., up in my room and things like that. And that was a huge aha I got from John when Monday night. So I know it sounds woo-woo, but trust me, it works. Trust me, it works. So let's get going straight away. I'm going to share my screen with you all. Are you up for me? So I can't get you there. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's do this. Okay, cool. So Darren, can you see my screen? Cool. So listen, here you go, guys. Can you also see me? Can you see me? Also, awesome. Listen, workshop 1, quick recap. I just want to go through the action points because some of you missed module 1. If you just take these notes and then watch module 1 again, you'll make a big impact. Here's some action points. Number 1, immediately mobilize your assets. Some of you right now watching this have paper files sitting there that have not been transferred onto a CRM, a customer relations management system, like MailChimp or Infusionsoft. We use Infusionsoft. Thank you. Some of you have reached out to us about getting Infusionsoft. I highly recommend it. We're Infusionsoft certified. The number 1 thing you can do in this lockdown period in any way, shape, or form, specifically if you've got time with your team, is move those paper files across to some type of CRM. I promise you that's a 6-figure tip right there. In fact, we have my students already, my people who are doing it right now. They just did this one thing. That's their new patients done for the year. Okay, if you implement the strategy we taught you in module 1, immediately mobilize the most important asset you have right now. It's interesting I say that because this week, Saturday is a big session, by the way. Saturday, I'm going to be teaching new patient acquisition. I've got results live coming in today. So we are now, this is just updated stats right now. Just, a lot of our paid advertising, we slowed down for a little while, and we focused on what I'm teaching, what I'm recapping on. But good news is this week, we are now acquiring customers at a profit. So it's not costing us, leads are costing us about $8 right now, but just for paid examination, we're already profitable on the front end with new patients. And it's the first time I've seen that for a little while because cost of acquisition increased. So if you want to learn how to do that, I'm going to be teaching the exact strategy that's working right now. This week, guys, I'm in the game, 8 practices, right? I've got a lot of overhead. I've got a lot of risk, which is good for you because if I don't make it work, I'm in trouble. My team's in trouble. Everyone's in trouble. So I was once taught that you always want to be taught by the person with the most risk. I tick that freaking box, I promise. So easily overhead wise, across 8 sites, 9 rentals, it's a lot. Staff over 100, etc. So we have to make this stuff work. I'm just going to pass it and give it all to you. Next, immediate action plan from module 1 was get your database sorted, get a CRM, gather the list of inactives. You've got to have a list of people who have not been in or drop-offs. Split that list into long-standing, also known as high spends, versus the rest. Apply exclusions. I taught the exclusions on the module. You'll have to go back. Some of them were, obviously, are they on the DNC list? Are they, obviously, did they opt out of marketing? Are they on a membership? Make sure you exclude current where you can. There's always some that slip through, but those are some exclusions that I'd recommend. Go through the module again. Write the telephone script. I gave you the key points of the telephone script. Always do a telephone, outbound calls. I'll never do outbound calls if the person doing the calls is not able to ask the following question. The question is, have you received our XYZ, whether it's letter, a text, an email? The easiest outbound sales calls you can have, because that's your segue into the whole thing. Okay, I gave you the tips for email 1 and text 1. Apply exclusions after email 1 and text 1. It should happen automatically, but if you understand, if you work with us and we help you with your CRM, and Infusionsoft will help you do that to a degree automatically, but there's always a bit of manual stuff that needs happening. Here's a little update for you guys. Nothing's automated. Frickin' heck. I've been trying to automate everything for years. Nothing is 100% automated. Nothing. No matter what anyone tells you, no matter what anyone tries to sell you. Okay, write email 2 and text 2, send 48 hours later. Number 10, 6 steps in the campaign. You do that 6 times and apply exclusions every single time. And number 11, if there's anything you learn from my 2 students that did records now, they're doing records ever within 2nd, 3rd weeks. Some of them records for the year, some of them records ever. That means the highest number of adjustments they've ever seen in their entire careers, 2-3 weeks after lockdown. And that's not just a spike and a drop. The reason they were able to do that is because number 11, they've been doing for like 18 months. And it was, you've got to send something called, I learned this from Russell Brunson, a Seinfeld email. Those of you not sending enough communications to your list, write this down. The more you communicate, the more you can communicate, right? And whatever you think, if you think too many, you're not sending enough emails. No one's sending enough emails. So let me give you an understanding. During lockdown, my 2 amazing, Dr. Ed, Dr. Anna, both sent an email a day, every single day of lockdown. That means over 70 emails during lockdown. No wonder they did record 2nd or 3rd week back. They were getting 50% open rate. If you learn the structure of how to do it, etc., you'll see how you can mobilize a movement where people start connecting with you and communicating. Here's the definition of communication. Okay, there's a triangle for rapport. I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit, but there's a triangle for rapport. One of the big things for rapport is that understanding is when a message lands. The definition of communication is the transference, okay, textbook definition, transference of a message or thing across space so that when it lands, it is understood. Okay, when you communicate more, that is more likely. All right, and there's another thing called shared reality, which is agreement, and there's another thing that's called affinity. That's a triangle. Affinity, shared reality, and communication are the keys to rapport, which I'll run through in a moment. Cool. Today we've got Brian Tracy coming later. Give me a wave if you're excited about Brian Tracy. Freaking legend. Oh my word. Who knows how much longer these guys are all going to be doing this thing for? They're legends, right? They must want to just relax a little bit now. They've been working so hard for so many years and doing it, but it's just a calling for them. You can feel it with John, you can feel it with Brian, you can feel it with Les. It's like, I don't think they'll ever retire because they just love serving and helping people. So tonight I'm going to give you 3 strategies for immediate money-making strategies. Literally by the end of today, you will notice right now where you can start making extra money tomorrow. Mapping out the sales process. I'm also going to teach you how to position your care plans in your economy. I need you to understand the money math in your practice. Cash flow generators and live case studies of people doing this right now. In fact, one of the strategies we did, it was a cash flow generation strategy, like to get an influx of cash into the business where it's needed very quickly. The gentleman generated over $10,000 in the week that they did it. That was just before lockdown. We had a conversation. I said, do this thing, $10,000 extra, right? He phoned me. He was like, I can't believe how much that's helped throughout the whole process. Pay my bills, pay my staff, pay my rental. Thank you so much. Simple stuff. You can do it. Trust me. Cool. My absolute promise to you is that if you just follow along tonight and take notes, take freaking notes. I promise. It is impossible not to directly attribute immediate increase in sales to what you learned tonight. Caveat. Here's my caveat. I could spend an entire week talking about sales, an entire week, and I still wouldn't cover everything. And that's why I'm doing a virtual. I had a sale. I was looking at my calendar there. I'm in another office, but I had it was already fully booked, a 2-day sales and conversion summit booked here at my venue. And we're going to move that to a virtual one, a virtual summit or a virtual event where we're going to be teaching sales and conversions. So keep an eye out for that. And those of you that are going to be joining me on the Relaunch Accelerator Masterclass, that goes live on Saturday. I'm going to throw that in there so you can get that also. So keep an eye on that for Saturday, right? Okay, next workshop on Saturday is the big one, new patient acquisition. You're going to have to put people in the top, I promise. I've got some extra bonuses for those people that are arriving on Saturdays. I'm going to give a couple templates out to those people that show up on Saturday. So here we go. One of the things that you'll hear me say is that the problem is never the problem, okay? So some of the strategies and things that we're implementing right now, there's a formula for crisis. And the formula for crisis is, first thing is forego and stop regular routines and habits. Forego and stop regular routines and habits so that you can implement sometimes things that you have to pivot, right? So having said that, that doesn't mean that I truly believe that those that have these foundational business focus rules in place, some of them have taken holidays. In fact, the person that did their record week this year, 3 weeks after lockdown, 2 weeks after lockdown, took a lot of lockdown off. Why? Because they had a lot of these things in place. Write these down. Number one, thou shalt have 3 to 10 operational core values lived by all team members. Thou shalt have weekly, quarterly, and annual team meetings and trainings. You've got to have weekly is something called a meeting pulse. You've got to have a weekly meeting. You've got to have a quarterly meeting. You've got an annual meeting. And there's a structure for that. There's a template for that. Number 3, you need to know your numbers and have scorecards. So every week you need to know your numbers. You need to know every week, does your PVA, what's your rolling PVA? Okay, you have to have what they call, if you were stranded on a desert island and you were only able to look at 5 numbers, would you be able to see the health of the business? For a lot of you on this call, there's going to be some pain tonight. And I mean pain in a good way, because pain, sometimes out of pain comes a lot of change. All right. Number 4, thou shalt offer options to pay in advance. Cash is still king. And this is where it's allowed. Some countries you're not allowed to this. So I've just got to mention that. But you should always offer an opportunity to pay in advance. Cash is still king. Cash is still king, especially right now. Do you know that the savings rate in America has gone in the last month? People have gone up in their bank accounts, gone up 33% or something like that. Available cash in people's bank accounts. All of a sudden, boom, recession hits. Everyone's like, sure, but I need to save. Like right now. So actually, people got more available cash than almost ever. And ironically, it's going to change because we're entering into the mother of all recessions. So you better learn how to do some of this stuff. Number 6, thou shalt have multiple forms of predictable, well-tested new patient generating avenues. I still truly believe this. At the end of the day, I have hacked my way into many of the things of a business that's, by the way, turning over close to $7 million, over £5 million every single year. Top 1% of businesses on the planet have to enter into that realm. It's about $5 million a year. So if you ever turn over $5 million and plus a year, you're in top 1% of businesses on the planet, right? How have I done that? Predominantly by being very good at marketing. Right? And sales has always been something I've been good at, but I've cheated a little bit by overcompensating with new patients, right? However, times have changed. So now you got to pivot. New patients are very important. They will always be important. The person that can generate new customers through the front door or holds the keys to the castle. It doesn't matter what anyone says. If you can do that for somebody else, by the way, you hold the keys to the castle, right? But I'll show you some money math that might make you focus on sales a little bit more. Thou shalt have follow-up for current patients. Write this down. Current patients. You need follow-up for current patients. Why? Because it's going to increase retention. And there is I'll teach you later. Past patients. Yes, you should be sending past patients something in the post, something by email, something by text at times, video messages, YouTube channels, whatever it is. Potential new patients, which are called leads. So if people come through, that's a different message that you need to have done for them. We do that all through our Fusionsoft app. You want to find out more about that? I believe the link is, Jack will put it in the bottom now. Number 8, thou shalt always have well thought out, well planned, well scripted sales processes. Well scripted, well thought out, thinking about it. Number 9, thou shalt offer information first to potential clients. Many of my inner circle members will tell you they have become literally little celebrities in their towns. Everyone watches their videos. They've got a YouTube channel. They've got podcasts. They've got blogs. They email their database every second day, and they've created a tribe as opposed to just, if I had a penny for every single time I heard the following phrase and I didn't do anything about it, I reckon it's lost me millions of pounds and dollars, is that there's nothing more important than your tribe or your email list, right? But it's only if you're doing something with it. And that was the point of last week, is that right now, your database is potentially the most powerful thing you have. Number 10, thou shalt endeavor to invest both time and money in continually develop yourself and your team. Here's the easiest way to hack sales. Are you ready? Am I feeling it? Are you ready? Yeah. The easiest way to hack sales is make sure you're paying more than you ask other people to pay. Easiest way. You better not be asking people to pay for you, for your service, what you are not at least paying somebody else. The easiest, how can you ask someone else to spend money on their health when you're not spending at least that, specifically the amount? Let's say you're selling a block in advance. The easiest way to hack sales is, the biggest sale of all is who? Is yourself. The biggest sale of all is yourself. So the first thing I'll tell you right now, if you're not at least spending on yourself what you're asking other people to spend on your product or service, you're in trouble, because you just won't believe it and you'll be inauthentic. The reason that I'm totally cool with having people pay for my service is because I pay tenfold what they pay for my service. And I do, it's almost like a it's really for a way to continually earn the right, and sell it to myself so that I understand that I'm doing the work. It's my biggest responsibility as a leader, as a mentor, is that I got to do the work first. It kind of gives me earned the right. So the quickest way to hack sales, I promise you right now, is be a consumer. You cannot sell a product that you're not prepared to pay that amount for. I promise. Okay. Number 11, thou shalt practice. Let's just spend at least 60 minutes per day on marketing activities. And for most of you, that's going to be the one that you like. It's amazing how my business career has changed, in that, like, my realization has, I've got to wake up every morning. I've got to write 2 emails. I've got to write some sales copy. I've got to do a campaign every day. I've got to do it. It's boring as hell, but that's what builds a business, And as I've grown, I've realized that I can't be, people have this misconception that freedom means that you have no responsibility. It's the opposite. The more structure you have those disciplines of 30 minutes or 60 minutes of marketing every day, the more freedom you have. It's discipline leads to freedom, which is lesson I had to learn. Cool. Here's my list of why practices fail. Number 1, overwhelmed. Don't know where to start, so they don't do anything. So just do something. Let me just address that point quickly. First of all, welcome to the club. You're not any different. It happens to all of us. Just do what you can, but do something. Just do anything half the time. Don't understand what they can and need to spend to acquire customers. Unreasonable expectations for customer acquisition is a killer in our profession. People don't want to spend money. Let's say your average care plan is $2,000. They want to spend $100 to acquire the customer. It's crazy town. Number 3, lack of consistency. You can do anything with consistency. Number 4, no measuring. Big for tonight. Number 5, not enough client acquisition channels. We've had a lot of them taken away, so you better know how to do this. Lacking adequate retention and conversion. Big topic for tonight. That's really what sales is about, retention, conversion. Number 7, by the way, if you're watching me right now, you may like those sales, you may not like them sales. If you have a patient visit average of below 10 or 10, it's a tough old profession. You're in for a tough old profession. You're in for a tough old time. And the reason for that is that you just have to consistently generate and acquire customers at a cost, by the way. It costs 10 to 15 times more to acquire a new customer than it is to reactivate one or keep one. So it's just going to be a tough old time. So that's just the way it is. It's irrelevant whether you agree with that or not. It's the truth. It's a tough old profession. If you have a PVA of anything around there, 10, it's really under 20, but it's a tough old profession. So we're going to work on that tonight. 4 major causes of practice failure. This is from Dan Kennedy, one of my biggest marketing legends and teachers. He says unreasonable expectations regarding necessary investments in customer acquisition, inadequate preparation for sales appointments and presentations, which we're going to talk about tonight. Number 3, acting on assumptions rather than collected, verified, factual information. Big. The amount of times, here's what you're not allowed to say in my team. If I say, how's the campaign going? If one of my inner circle members says to me, they know I'm coming after them. If they say good, I'm coming after them. What the hell does good mean? What the heck does good mean? Tell me a number. What's our cost per lead? What's our cost of acquisition? What are we making or losing at the front end after we've taken money at the front desk? You need to know those figures. So I'm going to be teaching on Saturday. So I'm super excited today. By the way, my inner circle members, this is coming to you. Here's why I'm excited. Those of you that are joining me on the masterclass are also coming to you. But why I'm excited is on the front end today, this week, we are making money on the front end with our Facebook ads. And there was this tiny little portion, I hadn't ever seen it, where customer acquisition costs climbed to $20, $30 during lockdown. So we had to turn off for a little bit, but now we're back up to making money on the front end, which means here's Nirvana when it comes to marketing. Please write this down. If you can break even to acquire a customer, it's Nirvana. If it costs you £30 and they pay 30, if it costs you 100 and they pay 100 in the front end, so your customer acquisition cost is 0, you have what they call marketing Nirvana. Okay, so we just got that from our Facebook ads this week, which is really, really cool. Okay, number 4, hastily creating advertising without research, tested and proven models, or copywriting skill. This can be developed or it can be purchased. I purchase much of it. I also have mentors and coaches. So do my tribe, etc. Sometimes the fastest way is to purchase the knowledge, the information, etc. I still engage in professional copywriters all the time, right? For speed also. Cool. So this is an age-old thing. My inner circle members will know this. The person that is willing and able to spend the most to acquire a new customer wins. Let me say that again. The person that is willing and able to spend the most willing and able to acquire a new customer wins. The key word in that, please, is able. If you are able to spend the most to acquire a customer, you'll always win. You need to understand that for the sales process, because sales and marketing go hand in hand, meaning that if you're not great at closing sales, if you're not great at taking money, it's tough for you to justify spending more to acquire the customer. So it's willing, it's not who's got the most money, it's whose money math enables them to spend the most. And I'm going to go through that with you in a moment. So here are the 3 fundamental ways you grow any business. Number 1, increase new customers. Number 2, increase the price. And number 3, increase transactions or number of transactions. So write those down. Number 1 is increase new customers. Sounds obvious, right? Do you know how often I go to this? Do you know how often I go to these 3 things? Right. I need focus. How do I need to grow this portion of the business? Am I generating new customers? Am I increasing the price? Or am I increasing the number of transactions? / payments in advance / commitment in advance. All of those change your criteria. Many businesses will drastically change the money math in their business simply by doing one thing, and that's requiring everyone to pay in advance. Many businesses, that is the key to change the entire business. I have a practice owner, a good friend of mine. Some places in the world you can and can't do this, so just caveat there. But there is no pay per visit in his business, and there is no book no book the next appointment. It's everyone commits to a certain level and everyone pays ahead of time. Now think of the decreased complexity at the front desk. No one's booking appointments from time to time. No, the CA is not even behind the front desk. They're like there mingling with people. And there's almost no money changing hands on a day-to-day basis. Now that decreases complexity, it allows everyone to be super focused and present. Also, it allows you to plan for the future because cash is king. So you're able to understand then what you can invest in, reinvest in the business. Look, we're not trying to make cash here to line our pockets. We have to feed the baby. The more cash you have, the more you can feed the baby. So you better be able to generate cash in any business, right? Which brings me to the money math. And then I'll talk about the biggest challenge in all of our businesses. So take your pen and paper out. You're going to need to follow along here. You're going to need to follow along here. Some of you are about to get a shock of your life. In a good way, in a good way. Jack, are you with me? So let's go there. Oh, no, I'm going to need you actually, if you don't mind. You might have to. Let's have a look. You might have to just get me on the Wi-Fi there for that one. And then get me back on the screen. And then what I'll do is I'll jump ahead to share my screen again because I actually want to do this first. Okay, so I don't think you guys can see my screen, hey? No. One moment. Okay, so. Oh, my bad. There we go. There we go. Okay, great. You guys are going to see that. So I'm going to show you, to do some money math for you in a moment. That's going to change the way you think about your practice. But more than ever, it's become very, very important to understand money math, right? Which I'm going to go through now. But I first want to talk a little bit with you guys about sales. So let's talk about the psychology of sales. All good. So here's what I need you guys to understand is that in some way, shape, or form, actually, you can unshare me there now again. So in some way, shape, or form, we have to address this. Is sales good or bad? Well, here's the thing. If I don't address this with you all right now, I know that everything I say is going to go over your head. So if I say, whether you realize it or not, if I say the following words, some of you will have unconscious reactions that you don't even know you're having. In fact, if you're doing this right now, close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, breathe out. And I want you to, when I say this word, I want you to just clock the first word or image that comes up for you. When I say this word, and it is salesman. If I say the word salesman to you, what comes up? Type it in the chat. Type it in the chat. What comes up? Cindy, what comes up? Let me see there. Sleazy, yes. What else? Pushy, what else? Sinking feeling in my stomach. What else? Creepy, dodgy, Del boy, annoying human, man with a briefcase. I get it. Secondhand car salesman. Icky, clipboard. Knocking on doors, door-to-door salesman. Why so serious? Pushy, annoying, man with a briefcase. Listen, let me ask you guys a question. That image you have, do you think that's supportive of your sales journey or unsupportive? Like, do you want to be more like that? Freaking no, you don't want to be like that. So here's what you need to understand, whether you realize it or not. Every single human being has had a bad experience with sales. We've had terrible experiences with sales. Freaking heck. How many of you can remember a salesman that you wanted to throttle? Like every one of us, right? So whether you realize it or not, we've all had, in some way, shape, or form, we've all had terrible experience with sales. That's called a psychic scar. So whether you realize or not, you're not going to want to be more like that. So your association with what you believe is sales and not sales is important for you to understand. And your role models around sales is also important for you to understand. So here's my lesson for you all. Here's a bit of a story. Is it okay if I tell you a story? Give me a hand up. Is it okay? Yes? Jeff, good to see you. You've got a choice here. And there's two things which I'll address. One is the single biggest thing holding you back. The single biggest thing holding you back right now from a sales perspective in this profession, in small industries, by the way, is your perception of what your peers think of you. Petrified of what our peers think of us. Single biggest thing holding us all back. And I'll never forget, I went to a conference, 1,000 people in the room, and the speaker on stage said, where are my dentists, doctors, chiropractors? And I proudly put up my hand, traveled all the way across to the States, been going there many, many years to get information. This is from Dan Kennedy. And he said, where are you? And I proudly put up my hand. And he said, you're all a freaking nightmare to work with. Nightmare. Hate working with you guys. And I was like, quickly slinked my hand down. And he went on to explain that the reason he hates working with us is because we have so many preconceived ideas of what's good, what's bad, what our peers are thinking is. God forbid somebody says something bad about us if we promote ourselves, if we market ourselves, if we sell. It is whether you realize it or not, it's our biggest fear. You know, not obviously public perception is playing on all of our minds. Our subordination to what other people think of us. It's your subordination to what other people think of you is without a doubt holding most humans back the most. It's the reason you don't promote yourself when you should. It's the reason you don't pick up that video and do a live when you should. It's the reason that you don't sell when you know that you should, just in case you're scared of what someone else thinks of you. It's the reason you don't shamelessly promote your product or service, even though you know it can help lots of people. It's only because you think you're worried about what other people think of you. So the way I've shifted that a little bit is change the word, okay? There's a famous story. How many of you have heard of Nelson Mandela? Cool, one of my all-time heroes. So I never got to meet Nelson Mandela, and it's always something that, you know, when some people say, if you had to choose three people alive or dead, who would you have a meal with? For me, one of them was Nelson Mandela, right? And there's a famous story of Richard Branson, also one of my heroes. And Richard said that you could never sit and have a meal with Nelson Mandela without him at least getting $1 million out of you for his charities. And Richard Branson went on to explain how he believed that Nelson Mandela sold like a beast. Nelson Mandela. Now, here's the thing. Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, who else? Mahatma Gandhi. These are the people that I believe had to sell a concept, and the word sell a concept comes to mind, of equality to entire nations. Nelson Mandela changed the history of mankind. He changed the history of a nation because he had to sell the concept of equality across the planet, right? To change governments. But he did that by self-promotion. He did that by marketing. I mean, there's no better man. The fact that Mr. Donald Trump is in the White House is still my opinion, one of the greatest marketing feats of all time. Whether we like him or not, he wasn't even in politics 18 months before he did it. It's insane. It's insane that that's even possible. But that's one of the biggest things I'll say to you right now. Before you start, is you've got to change the word. You've got two choices, and I truly mean this. I truly mean this. You've got a choice. You're playing small serves nobody. You're playing small serves nobody. So you've got a choice. Don't market. Don't preach your message from the rooftops. Don't go out there and try to change lives aggressively wherever you can. Don't sell. And guess what? You probably won't be very financially secure. You probably won't be able to provide the life for your family that you want, and you probably won't have a booming practice and therefore help more people. And guess what? Some people still won't like you. Or you can market, sell, promote, and do it that it feels good and ethically, and make sure you're helping people when you do it. And guess what? You'll probably be more abundant. You'll help more people, but some people still won't like you. So you got a choice. It's just a choice. Either way, that's just life, guys. That's just life. And the quicker you get over that, the quicker I can help you with this one structure. Hey, Don, good to see you. So let's move on. So now I do want to share my iPad. I want to share my iPad with you guys. So I want you to understand the money math involved in this next conversation I'm going to have with you. And the conversation is this. So cool. You should be able to see my iPad. Can you see my iPad? Awesome. Here we go. Please do this math with me. So this is probably, you don't often going to hear me say something like this, but there's two things everyone's talking about: more leads, more leads, more leads, more leads, more leads, or more conversions. So let me do the math. I'll show you the math. So let's say right now you're seeing 10 new patients a week. Okay. So bear with me here. See that there? 10 new patients a week. And let's say your conversion rate right now is about 20%. I'm just giving you numbers. Right? So that's 2 conversions, 20% conversion, 2 conversions. And let's say your average case value is $1,000. Okay? That means you're making $2,000 per week, $2,000 per week. So I'm going to explain 48. 2,000 times 48. 48 is weeks. I just say, look, I know there's 52 weeks in the year, but if you're going to work out your projections, I work my projections out in my business on 50 weeks because I have a business, and a business is a profit-making enterprise that works without you. You understand? But most of you are going to be working in the practice, which means you want to be realistic here. You're not going to work 52 weeks a year. You're not going to work 50 weeks a year. So just as a rounding down, I'll normally round it down to 48. Here and there, you're going to take 2 weeks here, a week there, etc. I recommend taking more, but this is just how I've worked it out for this exercise. So 2,000 times 48, the math of that works out to, in this case, we have turnover of 96,000, 96K. Is everyone with me? Give me a hand up. Everyone with me? Great. So thanks, guys. So now let's change that. By the way, those of you who think that 10 new patients a week isn't achievable, Chen, have you got 10 new patients in a day? In a day at the moment, right? With some of the strategies implemented. I don't recommend that either, by the way. The guy's working hard. So you could really choose what you want. But 10 new patients, 10 new patients is totally achievable. You really got to, you want to put that down. That should be your aim. I truly believe you can have the practice of your dreams on 10. Anything you want to achieve on 10. So let's go through this. Leads or conversions, which is more important. So let's say we say just more leads. Ryan, I want more leads. I want more new patients. One more new patients. Great. Let's do that math. So let's change it up. Let's go 15. Let's go 15, but your conversion rate is 20%. Stay with me here. So we got 15 new patients, conversion rate 20%. And remember that your lifetime value or the case value is $1,000. I'm just giving you examples here. It should be around there, by the way. And that works out to $3,000 per week times 48 weeks. The math of that puts that in annual turnover of $144,000. Okay, now let's go through this again. 96. Okay, so if we went from 10 to 15, that's about a 50%, increase. I could even do it in 100% increase in new patients. Same conversion though, 20% conversion. You've gone from 96 to 144. How many of you would be okay with earning an extra $50,000 a year? Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Now watch this. What if we just increased, let's go back. What if we just increased, so 10 new patients a week. What if we just increased our conversions to 40%? Okay, that becomes 4 conversions at $1,000, 4,000 per week. And if we do the math on that, we are now earning $192,000. You guys with me? So remember, same new patients, 10 new patients, 20% conversion, same new patients. All of a sudden, you've got 40% conversion, and we've jumped by $100,000. How many of you are okay with earning extra $100,000? A 6-figure jump. By just going from, by the way, in one-on-one sales, like you should absolutely, and but also let me caveat one thing. I will speak unapologetically in sales terms because sales is good. That's how you change lives. That's how you do things. Nobody likes to be sold to. Everybody likes to buy. Okay, we all like to buy. Give me a hand up if you've bought some guilty pleasure over the lockdown from Amazon that you really don't need. I mean, I freaking went and bought a whole pizza set. I'm like, I've never made a pizza in my entire freaking life. I've got the whole set. I've got the thing. I've got like the whole thing. My wife was like, I've even got the pizza stone. My wife was like, what the is this stuff? I was like, no, we're going to need it. Like, what the hell do I need it for? I'm going to use it once. It was really actually quite difficult. I found it difficult. But anyway, so stick with me here. So if we just increase conversions, now watch this happen. What if we increase conversions? Okay. And what if we increase conversions and we tweak the price? Remember I said, or the ultimate end. Remember I said there's 3 ways to grow business. New customers. Okay. It's basically here. New customers. We've got, in some way, shape, or form, you've got increased price and increase, which is this. It's exactly this model. It's exactly this model. We've got new patients, we've got price, and we've got over here, increase number of transactions or conversions, right? In some way, shape, or form. So now all we've done is gone 40%. So we're keeping 40% the same. Then I'm going, what if instead of 1,000, it's 1,100? What does that do to the numbers? That's all we're doing. Instead of 1,000, 1,100. That means maybe selling a bigger care plan. That means increase your retention because you did the strategies I'm going to teach you tonight. That's all it does. Your average lifetime value, or average case values goes from 1,000 to 1,100. $100. That's normally 2 adjustments, less than that for a lot of you. So let's look at the number. If we did that, that now jumps. Same new patients as the first one. Let me just remind you what it is. The very first one, 96,000. 96,000, 20% conversion. Same number of new patients, 40% conversion, but average lifetime value goes to 1,100. $100 more. That now jumps to $211,000. How many do you think that's pretty cool? So let me go through that again. 3 ways to grow a business. Chiropractor, whoever you are, business owner number 1 has 10 leads a week. He's got a 20% conversion to a $1,000 lifetime value. He ends up earning $96,000 a year. Okay, not bad. Listen, expenses. Most practice owners don't earn as much. Most practice owners don't take home 50%. In fact, most of the accounts I'm looking at, practice owners are taking home 38%, 37% take home. That's what they earn, especially on those figures. Here's the fact. If you are seeing under 150 a week, it's whether you like to hear this or not, it's often more lucrative to be an associate. It just is, right? Unless you've got cash flow, unless you understand this math. Then next, all we did was we changed leads and 144,000. So same guy, all we've done is increased $100 here and gone to 40%. And the same guy is now earning $211,000. If you earn, in America, if you earn above, I believe, $250,000, you are top 1% on the planet. Top 1% on the planet. That's freaking significant. Cool, you can stop sharing there for me. Cool. How many of you learned something? Pretty cool. So it's absolutely possible to change your, listen, it's so possible to change your life, your family's life, your practice life, the people you're able to bless because you've got more abundance in your life. The whole thing changes because in some way, shape, or form, you have to embrace sales. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Now let's share my computer again. It's quite a complicated affair here, guys. There you go. Cool. So let's go through, let's try finish up this concept, if you will. So I hope that was helpful because sometimes the only way you can see it is actually look at that math. So it's becoming more important than ever to get more from less, meaning new patient acquisition is going to decrease in some way, shape, or form. So you really have, for it's been in good economies, we get to cheat a little bit. Most of us don't think because there's always more. There's always more. In fact, many of my students have been saying for ages, oh, too many leads. Now they're going, oh, freaking hell, I need more. Right? Good economies make us a little complacent of sales. Good economy make us complacent of the structures and procedures and follow-up that we need. So you have to change the money math in your business. Most practice owners can't begin to do this. Why? Because they simply don't know their numbers. So here are 3 numbers. Here's my guarantee to you. A couple guarantees, caveats. If you go measure these 3 numbers by tomorrow, you'll easily find 6 figures in your business, and you will also spend the day potentially drinking yourself into a stupor. And the reason I say that is because you're going to get the shock of your life when you do these numbers. Okay. First, and that's good. That's how you grow. Okay, cool. Number 1. So I'm not coming across there. So number 1, you've got to know exactly what your average visit fee is. Exactly. I don't want to know about exactly what your average visit or average adjustment fee is, or visit fee if you're multidisciplinary. Here's what my caveat for you is. I've worked with hundreds of docs, if not thousands, and I will tell you this: I have never known a doc not inflate that number. I've never known one practice not inflate that number. 99% of the time, it's just out of self-preservation because we know it should be higher. But here's how you work it out. I want you to remove new patients and report of findings. And I want you to work out what is your revenue and then divide your revenue by all the visits in the schedule. And if you're honest with yourself and you actually do the math, I promise you, you will be shocked. I have worked with practice owners that when I asked them what their average adjustment fee or average visit fee is, they told me $10. They were convinced that it was $10 more. Let's say they saw 300 a week and they were making no money. I was like, how's that possible? How's it possible? How do you see 300 a week? That's $500,000. How do you, more, but in the UK, it works out to about that, by the way, 300 to 500 to 750, something like that. And like, how do you see those type of numbers not make any money? I don't get it. And when we looked at it, when they were honest with themselves, I'll never forget the look on their face. They were like, shh, you know what? I thought it was this and it was this. Go honestly look at that number because you need to look at it. All the discounts, all the people that come for free, all the whatever, total. Because when I ask someone, what's your average adjustment fee? They normally tell me what they charge. I'm like, nope, that's not it. I know you charge $50 in adjustment, $60 in adjustment, $70 adjustment. What are you actually making per adjustment? Go average it out across the whole thing. That's number 1. Number 1, just trust me. Trust me. I know you don't want to do it, but trust me. You should know it already, by the way. Number 2, I want you to run the stat of discounts below your acceptable rate, which means let's say you sell a care plan, and let's say, or you give discounts, or you do whatever, and let's say that works out to 25%. You as a business owner need to decide what the minimum, like there's a break-even number, by the way. I just told you, I've looked at more accounts than just about anyone on the planet, I promise. My financial director has. When I say accounts, chiropractic practices accounts. And the fact of the matter is that most business owners don't make more than 40%. Just the way it is. It's only the ones that fully understand the money math. Okay. It just is what it is. And if you look at this stat, if you go, look, we are comfortable with discounting, I'm just going to throw a number out, 30% on this care plan. I want you to go work out how many people were seen last week, how many people were seen the last month, how many people were seen in the last year that pay equivalent to less than that amount. Okay. Go, okay, last month, just do it last week. If we say as a business that nobody's going to come to us paying less than X, Y, Z, I don't care, then go run the stat below who falls below that, how many people. Again, be prepared to be shocked. Be prepared to be shocked. Next, I see so many docs hiding behind PVA. So I'll say to them, great, like, how are you doing? They're like, no, PVA is very good. Those of you who don't know what PVA is listening on the webinar, PVA stands for, write this down, patient visit average. It's equivalent to your lifetime value of a customer. Okay. You also need to know that stat. And how you work it out, first of all, is firstly, do you know it on a weekly basis? Do you know that many chiropractic consultants will increase the revenue of a business by doing one thing? One thing. They could sit in a chair in Ibiza on the sun every day, and they could say all they have to say is, hey, Mr. Practice Owner, send me your numbers every week. So send me these numbers on a weekly basis, and their revenue goes up. That's all they have to do, because accountability, right? That's how it happens. If you want anything to improve in your business, you've got to measure it. So first, do you know it? Next, how do you measure it? It's a 6-month period. Write this down. You take all your visits in the schedule, including, write this down, new patients. So it's like, do I exclude whatever? Everything in the schedule, including new patients, divided by new patients, equals patient visit average. And by the way, I also think that I'm probably one of the only people that will say this, but I think PVA you can hide behind PVA. It's a bit flawed. So I've done this exercise with people before. So what's your PVA? And they say, my PVA is pretty good. I say, great. Let's look at these numbers though, and it might give you a different picture. I want you to actually work out the magic of knowing if you go in a 6-month period, and let's go back. Let's go 3 months ago and then go 6 months. How many people in that, I know this is laborious, but do it once and that's all you'll need. How many people actually, as a percentage, actually saw you 3+ times, actually saw you 6+ times, actually saw you 12+ times, actually saw you 24+ times, actually saw you 36+ times? Not PVA. Now, PVA is a measurement. It's not the measurement. But if you can get clarity on this, I will almost guarantee you'll see where your sticking point in the business is. You'll see where a genuine, where you're root bound, for lack of a better word. You're going to be like, okay, great. So 70% of them saw me 3+, 60% saw me 6+, 40% saw me 12+, 20% saw me 24+, 0 saw me 36+. Ooh, okay, I get it. I know what's happening. I know where my drop-off is. You might go 70% saw me 3+. 70%, well, 65 saw me 6+. 15% saw me 12+. Ooh, we know where the problem is. You guys with me? Give me a hand up. Give me a hand up. Webinar, give me a hand up. Awesome, 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 awesome. This is different. And by the way, and some of you are sitting here going, oh my word, this sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, those 3 numbers, if you just do those, I want to know the real hard fact. What's your average adjustment for average visit fee? Okay, next, how many people are you seeing below your comfortable level? What percentage, last week, how many people did you see below that number? Horrifying. And then actually work out how much it cost you. It's heartbreaking. By the way, how do I know this? Because it happened to me. Okay. So I've done this already. Sales is good or bad. The biggest self-imposed barrier to sales, marketing, and self-promotion is peer-to-peer judgment. And I've spoken about that a bit. But here's what, write this formula down. Sales equals income equals lifestyle, equals influence, equals helping people. But sales equals income equals lifestyle. So here's the 30% formula. How many of you are ready to write in the chat yes? And somewhere, yes, if you're ready for me to teach you how to almost organically get 30% increased sales or revenue. Oh, I was waiting for you, Andrew Tuck. If you didn't say yes, I wasn't doing it. Okay, cool. So here it is. Please write this down. Before, during, after. Before, during, after. Too few people rarely look at sales this way. Let's go. Okay, this is the part where I truly believe. Okay, so first of all, if you just did the stats I told you, you're going to grow your business. Guaranteed. Because now it's going to get, you're going to get such a shock. You're going to go as a team, you're going to go, that's it. You're going to see how many people are paying crazy amounts of money. And you're like, no, we're drawing the line right now. We need to feed the baby more. That's the lowest level. So here's the real life example. We make pre-COVID, the same amount of money that we did at one point, 500 visits a week. Now, at one point, we dropped by 500 visits a week, but dropped by 500 visits a week across all my sites. So that's total, but made more money with 500 people a week less because of this. So Cindy and those people like will understand. So what I did was we went that bottom figure and we went, so we had to get our average adjustment fee up to a certain amount. And we're like, cool, we understand where we're missing people, where we're missing things here. We're just letting money drop out of the business by just not being disciplined. So we knew that, like, listen, that's it. There's no discount below X, Y, or Z. And we immediately increased we almost by over, and I say, if you just see the exercise I did, if you just increase the average visit fee in a business by $5, it's six figures. It's six figures. So right now, if you're on $45 an average adjustment fee across the entire business, $50 average adjustment fee, and I promise you, six figures lies in going from no more new patients, no more, nothing. Just add 5. Most of the time, it's six figures. Most of the time. Okay. So let me talk about sales before. This is probably for a lot of you, this is going to be like, you're going to be like, whoa, hectic. I never even thought about this stuff. So what is being done to positively affect sales prior to the sales appointment? By the way, there is about 73 things. I'm going to give you the 4 like really, really important ones here. But in the sales workshop we're going to do, I'm going to go through all of them with you, right? Number 1, is there thought given to the positioning of you prior to the sale? Not enough thought is given by most people. And I always like to tell a story here. This is not just about sales. This is about healing. So there's a famous cancer doctor, Dr. Siegel. Actually, you can share me there for a second. And he always talks about, so listen to the story. He says there was 3 main things that help people heal effectively and naturally from cancer in his experience. Natural cancer doctor. Number 1 is their belief in their body's ability to heal. Okay. They have to believe that their body has the ability to heal. Number 2 is their belief in the treatment of choice. Number 2 is their belief in the treatment of choice. That they choose, do they positively believe on the research that they've done and the evidence they've done that this thing actually works? And number 3, very interestingly, is their belief or perception in you as the provider of the thing. Okay, which goes back to that point. You positioning yourself as an expert in the marketplace affects not just sales, it affects the healing, right? It affects the whole process of abundance. So let's share that again. There we go. Cool. So that's the first thing. Is there prior thought given? Oh, we're not coming across yet. I think we should be there. Mirror. Oh, wait. Jack's arm back. There we go. Should work. No, that's not working. Give me a second here, guys. We have a bit stuck here, but it doesn't matter. I don't need the slides. So first thing is, number 1 is how are, so can you see me? Can you see me? You can see me, yes? You hear me? Great. So number 1 is the positioning of you prior to the appointment. Have you given thought to that? Have you given thought to how you're positioned as the expert in some way, shape, or form prior to that process, right? Number 2 you have to think about, is, are you giving thought or process or some type of thought to, why is it coming across? I don't know why my screen's not sharing, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, there we go. Maybe I just won't unshare now for a while. Okay, cool. Number two is there thought given to the time invested by the prospect prior to the sale? Let me say, number 1, have you given thought to the position as you as the expert? I'm going to give you some tools for this. Or write this down. Every single one of you should be a written author. You should all be a published author. So prior to them coming in, have you given thought to how you are positioned or how you are perceived by the prospect before they come in? How do you do that? So if someone has a sales appointment, essentially in some way, shape, or form in any business, if you sent them your Amazon #1 bestseller prior to the appointment with endorsements by some of the biggest names on the planet, do you think they would make a difference to the end result? Yes or yes? Of course it would make a difference, right? Number two is there thought given to the time invested by the prospect? So here's the biggest mistake that one-on-one salespeople make. The biggest mistake that one-on-one salespeople make is they spend too much time with unqualified leads in some way, shape, or form. So how do you increase the quality of the lead? There's a direct correlation between the amount of time someone spends prior to coming into you and increase sales. So that could be by your content that you're sending out. But another part of what I've just said is there sufficient thought given to time invested by the prospect? Is the more hoops someone has to jump through prior to coming to you, the higher the conversions. Hoops meaning, do they have to fill out stuff before they come in? Do they have to watch a video series before they come in? Now, be careful. Not all of you can afford that luxury. If you have not sufficient deal flow, not enough new customers, you've got to be careful about the amount of hoops you send them through. Because if you're so good at marketing, then you can afford to have more hoops for people to jump through, decreasing the amount of people that come through to you, but much higher quality. Okay. So let me give you an example. For instance, in one of my businesses, if someone applies for an appointment, they have to fill out a form. I purposely make the form very, 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 very long. Okay. I purposely make the form lots of information. I am naturally, because it's like one-on-one time, right? And if someone's not even prepared to go through the 8 questions before they jump on a call with me, then I probably don't want to be on the call with them. You guys understand? Yes? So by increasing the time spent prior to or hoops, you will increase the quality of lead and the sale. Number 3 is there sufficient big for everyone on this call? Is there sufficient demonstration and testimonials prior to the sale? This is the biggest mistake most of us make. Have you adequately showed demonstration and or testimonials? And there's a concept called, please write this down, preponderance of truth. There's a guy online. He's got 4,000 video testimonials on his website. 4,000. Can you ever have enough testimonials? If you want to go to someone and you want to see them, you want to know they're the best, if they're authentic, real testimonials on there, boy, does it change your mindset towards them. It's huge. And that's why referrals are so big, because it's a trusted source that gives it to you. And number 4, source matters if you have the luxury. So let me give you an example for that. This is where a lot of people, this is one of the biggest lesson I can give you here. Many of you have stopped your print advertising because your cost per lead skyrocketed, meaning you thought newspapers didn't work anymore. But if you go back and look at what they spent, I promise you I got a shock. Most of you get a shock. You think that newspapers don't work anymore because instead of getting, and I've had many meals with legends who have been in practice for 50 years plus and have told me about the days they started their practice with one newspaper ad and they got 100 new patients. That's it. That's all they did. $500. One newspaper ad, 100 new patients, right? And times have changed, by the way, just so you know. And, but if I look back at the people at the spend or the retention of those that came from that particular source, while it may appear like it was unreasonable to spend the amount of money I was spending on newspapers, actually, when I look back at the spend, I actually shot myself in the foot by stopping it. So even though I would spend $1,000 and get 4 new patients, I might go, whoa, that's $250 a lead or a new patient. When I actually looked at it, the spend from first of all, the conversion was like 100%, or nothing's 100%, but in this case it was. And their lifetime values were closer to like $3,000. So all of a sudden, 369, we're making $12,000 and spending $1,000. How many of you would take that return of investment? But you can't. But you don't. If you don't know the source, if you don't know your average lifetime fee also changes. Source matters. But my only caveat here is that you've got to be careful if you can afford the luxury. Meaning, if you don't have sufficient deal flow, if you don't have enough people coming to see you, you can't afford to be that picky, by the way. We are bricks and mortar businesses, which most of us only have like maximum 50,000, 100,000 people around the practice to market to, if you're lucky. So you don't always have that luxury. However, you should still think of these processes. By the way, give me a thumbs up if this is helping so far. Yeah, give me a hand up. So have you thought about the positioning of you? Think it's important, right? Here's some ways that you can do it. Guarantee you your sales will increase if you just do this. Okay. In some way, what about so we introduced a physical newsletter. A physical welcome pack. That means new patient books. It cost me money, right? In the post, boom, send it to them. There arrives price. Now, if it was me, if I was practicing full time, it was just me alone in my practice, I would 100% send them my book. Now I'm a published author, and guess what? There'll be celebrity testimonials in there. So I want to see that I'm an author. Please, one of the things we do in my inner circle group is that we help my members become published authors. If you have not written a book, and the only thing you achieve through the entire lockdown is writing a book, you would dramatically increase your sales. If you leverage the media correctly, it doesn't just make you more successful. You have to leverage it to be more successful. So number one thing is, if you sent them that media that positions you differently, if you sent them, there's something called listen to this, there's something called a tear sheet. So you can actually, this is bordering on the lines of, just be clear, I've never done this, but this is bordering the lines of skewing the truth, is that a newspaper article that is actually, it looks like a newspaper article that you appeared in the newspaper, but it's not. And people will send that and be like, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Here's the recent newspaper article I had. Like, that's how much it works. The method of it, I wouldn't recommend. However, many of you have that as a fact. Many of you appeared in the newspaper. Many of you appear regularly in magazines. So in your print media that they get before they come in, you better be showing them that you've appeared on the news. You better be showing them that you are a famous person's chiropractor. You better be showing them that you're a written author. All your sales will go up if you just did that. What about testimonials? You have to have tons of testimonials. Now, here's another little tip. If you can message to market match the testimonial, your sales will go up. Meaning, if someone's coming with a certain symptom and you show them testimonials with the same symptom of results, conversions go up. Is this stuff work? Yep, it's work. Is it always possible? No. But better to know it than to not. And then you'll find a way to work it into your business in some way, shape, or form. Celebrity endorsements, etc. So that's prior to the sale. What can you do? First of all, give me a thumbs up. Give me a hand up if you're with me. Are you learning something? Are you learning something? You're learning something? Cool. Awesome. How many people? Yeah, we got hundreds of docs listening. So that's first one is prior to the consultation, prior to the sales appointment, prior to whatever, have you given sufficient thought into the positioning of you? Many of you have got all this stuff. You're just not using it, and it dramatically affects sales. Next, at the appointment, have you given thought to environment? What's the room layout like? Cleanliness. Are there missed opportunities? This matters. They're sitting there at the report of findings, at their new patient consultation, and there's a big picture of you, and you, listen, what if you went to someone and in the background is a testimonial from Michael Jordan that you were Michael Jordan's chiropractor for 20 years? How do you think that would make a difference to the conversion? Frickin' heck. Of course it'll make a difference. But there's many chiropractors I know who do this very, very successfully. They work with professional sports teams. You walk into the practice and there is glass cabinets of the photos of them and the sports team and the NBA team, and it makes a difference. Environment when they come in, right? Are you positioned as the authority? Or do you have social proof? Do you have testimonials? One of the practices there was one particular time, specifically on this preponderance of truth. We went and filled an entire wall in the practice with testimonials, like from top to bottom, everything. We called it like our wall of success. Like it was hundreds. So when people walked in the practice, it was like boom, like testimonial. Many of you don't have one anywhere, right? Get them out. Okay. Next, what happens immediately prior to the sale? So just before someone comes through to you for initial consultation, report of findings, have you given sufficient thought to what happens just prior to that? Now, this is not actually rocket science. I'm going to go as simple as, is everyone being offered a glass of water? Are they greeted from behind the desk? Do they have a friendly smile? Or is their name on a welcome board? What happens immediately prior to that? It matters. It matters in a big way. Okay, at the sale, please write this down. What occurs in what order? Do you know that? When was the last time you looked at that? And what I mean by that is, right, Mary, you're going to do this. You're going to move them to there. I'm going to collect them here. You're going to hand them over this way. This is exactly what you're going to say when you hand them over, right? Also, prior to them meeting me, would you pass them the testimonial folder and ask them which, beforehand, you can even have a conversation with them about what they're suffering with the most and find the testimonial that's most relevant to them. Are they able to increase social proof in conversation and by the way, often a practice tour, even if you don't walk around the practice, can often be a way to increase social proof just by doing that. Here's our winners board, and here's the board of all our people that have helped, and here's our 5-year club, and here's our family club, and here's our family board, all those, and here's our celebrity board. Here's all the people that Dr. Ryan's worked with in the MBA and the wherever. That stuff matters. Next is an opportunity to improve design or redesign that process. Are there scripts being followed and monitored? Yes. If you're not a fan of scripts, so there's a couple processes of learning anything. Most people won't be present until they've learned to script off by heart first and then go to unconscious or unconscious. You just want to become where it comes naturally to you. You don't have to think about it. Moving from that phase to there, that's an important process, right? But you first have to learn a script to get there. And then you can be present. Often that's the step to being present. Many people say they don't like scripts because they're not present with the person. You are right in that you've got to be present. You've got to listen to what they say. God gave us one mouth and 2 ears, and he intended us to use it in that ratio, right? At least double the amount of listening. Next, hiring. Here's a big one for all of you. Let me ask you a question. When you hired your CAs, when you hired your team at the front desk, was there any mention of sales experience? Where you even, when I used to hire, it was like, no, you don't need any sales experience. But let me ask you a question. Who's taking the money? And who's making the phone calls? So if you're doing a reminder phone call, please don't kid yourself. That is part of a sales process. That is a reminder phone call that the person comes and does business with you. If you're doing a, hey, you've missed your appointment phone call or reactivation phone call, that's not an easy thing to do. So many of you will increase your results simply by having the conversation that there is sales involved at the front desk. Many of you won't like that. Many of you will actually tell people when they come for an interview, how do I know this? Because I did this. Many of you will tell people at the front desk that actually, no, there's no sales involved, but they're the person taking the money. They're the person taking the bookings. They're the person that answer queries over the phone. Those are the people that often ask money questions over the phone. Those are the people that ask money questions at the front desk. And yet we say, nope, no sales is required. Well, if someone hates sales, it's going to have a tough time. Maybe a blockage for your business. It's important to think about. And who is doing the selling? So those of you that are associate-based practices, this is quite big for you. Those of you that have multidisciplinary, often the who is quite important. I did a consult last week, and we came up with an idea that they're actually on the call now. An idea that someone else in the business was going to take care of the close and that part, as opposed to the doc. Now, I recommend the doc does it, but they just made a decision that someone was going to take care of that. And that one little, I promise you, that one little shift, if it frees them up mentally and emotionally, is going to be the increase they need in their business, which I'm so excited for. You know who you're talking about. I'm so excited for you guys. So I hope you've done it. So that is what happens at the sale. So what is actually said and in what order and scripts and the whole day one process, the whole day two process, how you make sure you find their, if you will, their hot button, how you make sure you communicate with them, what questions to ask, the exact questions to ask is an entire seminar on itself. There's no ways. I mean, it's now already 7:30. We've got Brian coming in pretty soon, but there's no ways I can cover that here. But if I only gave you 4 pointers, it would be these. Number one, understanding what type of sale it is. So what do I mean by that? How many of you have ever been to a pet store and then there's something called the puppy dog close or the puppy dog close? Now that's one type of sale. So what they'll do is they'll give you the dog, they'll give you the puppy dog, and they'll say, take it home for the weekend. And you take it home with your kids. How do you realize that nobody gives the dog back? You understand? It's like, here's the dog, take it home, love it, enjoy it, whatever. And if you don't want the dog of the weekend, you don't want the puppy of the weekend, you can give it back. That's called like a puppy dog or the pet shop clothes, if you will. That's like a type of sale. Okay. You've got many other different types, but in our industries, the type of process of selling is essentially, and this is going to, for some of you, this is going to be like a trigger. Watch that little voice. It's essentially a diagnostic and prescriptive sale. Okay. Some of you just went, no, but Ryan, I'm a vitalistic doc. I don't diagnose. Yes, you do. This is essentially what happens. You have a problem and you go, this is what's causing your problem. And it's called in this case, subluxation. And this is how it's affecting you. And this is what we need to do to rid you of that challenge so you can express life better. It is, you just don't diagnose a actual disease process. You still have the process of getting the customer to come on board with you so you can change their life is still called a diagnostic and prescriptive sale. And if you want to listen to a very funny story about this, go listen to the guy that wrote 4 Hour Workweek, and one of his most listened to podcasts is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And go listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger's podcast on that. It is very, very funny and very good and very apt for us all. So understanding that process. Now, why do I say you need to understand that it is that type of sales process? Is because if you understand that if it's a diagnostic and prescriptive sales process, then in some way, shape, or form, you have to have a challenge. Now, most of us go into chiropractic or any type of healthcare because we wanted to help people. You guys understand that we're naturally drawn to that. So this is always going to be a little challenge, this part, because there is 2 types of motivations in the world. People either do stuff towards pleasure or away from pain. Which one do you think is more motivating? You don't have to be rocket scientists to know that it's very hard to sell. It's very hard. You don't like, if you think about it, if it was vitalistic and exercise, there's no lack of gyms on the planet, right? Everyone knows you need to eat well and exercise well. Yet most of the time, people will only take action when their health is in some type of disrepair or panic or stress or crisis before they take some type of action. Now, this is where I think that what we do is very powerful, is that our job is to help someone understand the potential crisis or damage, impending damage or crisis that's either happening, whether they feel it or not. Pain is the very last thing to appear and the first thing to disappear, right? So there is impending crisis or damage in a heart attack. In most cases, the first sign of a heart attack of heart disease is a heart attack. There were no, you can have stage 3 cancer and be asked often many people the week before they were diagnosed, some people have 0 symptoms the week before they're diagnosed. Not always, but sometimes. So it's like abject, like if you ask them how they felt, they'd feel fine, right? So our job is to understand that if we need to effectively communicate and articulate the potential challenge and crisis that may be happening or maybe not be happening in their health, right? And if you're able to do that, more than likely, and if you're able to communicate that effectively and you're able to build rapport by those 3 things I mentioned earlier, you'll have a better chance. Now, I learned this the hard way, is that even when I consult with someone, if we don't look at numbers, if we don't do those type of things, they will often, out of self-preservation, how many of you ever had a patient say this to you? You ask a patient how they're doing, have they ever got any concerns you need to know about? And they say, no, I'm fine. And then later on in the history, they're like, oh, I just had a minor heart attack. You're like, freaking heck. There's nothing minor about a heart attack. Why don't you tell me about that? It's like, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. But you have to understand, for you to effectively influence and move them down the buying process, you need to be please write this down. Here's the only thing I want you to take from this. You need to be a truth finder. That's all you need to do is go deeper. If I can get people around this one aspect, their sales normally go up. You need to be a truth finder. So write this word, go deeper. You need to find out what's going on, why it's going on, how it's affecting their life, how it has affected their life. And you've got to go deeper than you normally would, because you need to take the person, and it's happening, by the way, 9 times out of 10, if you really ask a person how it's affecting their life, males are the worst, they'll say, no, it's not affecting me at all. But if you really ask a few questions, you'll understand that either they're stressed or it's affecting their health, like they didn't know it was, but you have to go there. It's very, very, very difficult. Please write this down and fully understand this. And this is why I wanted you to understand the type of sale it is. It's a diagnostic and prescriptive sale. It is very difficult. Almost no industry has done it. The only industry that's kind of done it a little bit is dentistry. It is almost impossible, very difficult to sell prevention and wellness as a front-end product. It is it's hardly ever done in the marketplace. Okay. And to the detriment of many people's health, because the pharmaceutical industry has pounced all over that, right? So what do? They position themselves in a way as a cure to every problem. So they market problems, but it does move the product, right? But they've got I'm getting a bit political here. They've got a shitty product that harms people, but we've got an incredible product that helps people and changes people naturally and changes their families and prevents them from doing these things. So you need to get a little pissed off sometimes to sell, and you need to get a little passionate about the thing you sell, because either that you're going to sell them down that path that they've got potential in their body to heal, or the pharmaceutical company is going to sell them into a completely different path in which that they're out of control of their health. And that's why I think selling is important. You need to sell that concept. Like Nelson Mandela had to sell a new concept to an entire nation. You have to sell a new concept to someone because they've been brainwashed from the day they were born. In fact, their families were brought up that way. My family was born. It's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's doing the best that they can. But their psychology over years and years and years is that that's the way health happens, from the outside in, that you get given this thing and that's going to be the solution. You have to sell them on a new reality. And the quickest way to do that is in taking to some way, shape, or form, some challenge or deeper meaning of how it's affecting their life. Am I making sense? Give me a hand up. You guys got it? So if you do not do this, you will do this. Don't do this at your peril, right? The pleasure of pain, meaning that the pain actually makes them change their life positively. Often, many of us don't change until the pain of where you're at is great enough. So you just have to be a truth finder and find out what their true pains are, what they really, really want. And I don't know who said it, but it said, man will move heaven and earth to achieve or get or purchase the thing that they actually want, the real thing they want. And often that's not, most people don't come in because of pain. They actually come in because of the pain, the way the pain has affected their life in some way, shape, or form. That's your job. Write that down. Most people don't come in because of pain. They think they come in because of pain, but they come in because it's actually affected their life to such an extent that they started to worry. So what is that thing? You need to go deeper for that. This is a whole day's conference, guys. But if you can go listen to Tony Robbins's Mastering Influence. And he talks about emotional reasons of buying and logical reasons of buying. Most people are trying to sell by logical reasons of buying, and it's a mistake. People very seldom move towards anything with logical reasons. They do move because of emotional reasons. And you need to be empathetic with that and communicate that. First step. Okay, but there's a script for that. Number 2, managing the healing time expectations. Most people struggle with this process. Most of your PBAs are going to be affected because you don't effectively manage that expectation. We live it now. Amazon, people like that have made this very difficult for us. People want results yesterday, right? I can click a button and I can have something delivered to my front door by 9 o'clock tomorrow, probably still, depending on the product. It's insane. So that is filtered through to healthcare. Now, again, I'm going to talk about the truth a lot. You need to be truthful, and you need to be truthful with them. So go read Guyton and Hall. And go read those textbooks to really give you the certainty that you need to fully communicate how long it takes for muscles, tissues, things like that to heal. And the only reason that you would tell anyone an untruth about how you can help them in 2 or 3 visits is because you want to be liked. Human nature is that, by the way. But all that'll happen is you'll have a very tough practice, because the reality of the situation is tendons, ligaments, tissue takes ages to heal. How much does it take a nerve to heal? Nervous system, nerve tissues to heal, right? If you look at the text, it says 6 months to 18 months on many things. So your process of fully managing the expectations for healing is very important for you having a joyful practice, right? A joyful practice. Because the last thing you want to do is tell someone that you can get results in 1 or 2. It's just not the truth. That's not how tissues work. That's not how human nature works. Healing is a time-honored concept. So you need to be able to communicate that effectively and tell them the truth so that you can have a healthy relationship. Because the last thing you want is an unhealthy relationship where someone expects some results yesterday and you can't really deliver that. You can't promise that. The truth of the matter is you don't know how long it's going to take. So say that. But if you manage that expectation correctly and write this word down, pre-framing, I will give you an exact process to pre-frame pre-frame effectively. Almost any time someone walks into my practice, sometimes what we do works too well in that it helps the pain go immediately for many people. How many of you had someone, they just had miracle after one adjustment, right? But they've had the thing for 20 years. We all know it's there still. So your job is to communicate it effectively prior to that process so they understand effectively how long it might take to heal. That's number 2. If you do number 1 and you effectively move someone through emotional reasons to buy, and then number 2, you effectively communicate the truth about how long it takes, and then they start care with you, boy, do you have a fun practice. Number 3, understanding that a certain level of tension is often required to make the sale. Woo! This is going to be something that many of you are not going to want to hear. Sales requires tension. And what I mean by that is, in some way, shape, or form, when you communicate with someone money, or when you communicate with someone how long it may take to heal, there may be the potential for the person in some way, shape, or form to have expectations that are different. And you'll have internal fear about that. And you will try alter your message because you could feel them going, "Ooh, I thought I was going to be fixed in 2 visits," and that's not quite the case. And you will start to change that communication, and you will alter your subordination to being liked, will change the way you communicate. But I want you to understand that in some way, shape, or form, all sales needs some level of tension. Why? So you can relieve the tension. And the reason I communicate that to people is for them to understand is to have those truthful conversations can be a little bit difficult at times. But if you know how to do it, then you can create a little tension and you can relieve the tension. That is sales. Sales is in some way, shape, or form to get you from here to here. It might take 18 months, but is it okay if we just focus on the next 3 months? Now, for most of you, having that conversation is going to increase your PVAs, it's going to increase your conversions, it's going to increase your fun or joy in the practice. But many of you are stopping with the harder conversation, which is that time, because you fear the tension. And the biggest challenge I see with new graduates, especially new graduates, is they talk too much because they want to fill the silence because they're too afraid of the tension. You get that? Sometimes you need that to create a sale. Number 4, the magic of 3. The biggest mistake I see in many of your practices is you have, let's say you've got care plans, you only have 2. You never only have 2. You've only got one, but you could have 3 ways to pay for the one. So if those are the only 4 things you get from me tonight when it comes to the process, and in the workshop, I'm going to go through every single step of this for hours, understanding what type of sale it is. Number 2, managing the healing times and expectations. Number 3, understanding that a certain level of tension is required to make a sale. And number 4, the magic of 3, when you present your care plans in some way, shape, or form, make sure there is only 3 options, right? I hope this is making sense. Give me a hand up if this is making sense. Cool. If you present them this long, antiquated thing that's got 15,000 ways to pay, a confused mind doesn't buy. So right now, more than ever, you need to simplify. We've done one care plan, 3 ways to pay, or 3 care plans, but never 2. Okay, now there's a psychology in how you position that. I will be going to that to the workshop. Why you're going to have this one at a certain level, this one at a certain level. It's very important. It's not just a case of going 10, 20, 30 or whatever it is. It's also how it looks on the page, etc. There's an art to it also, right? After the sale, probably the biggest thing you guys get from this, the single biggest mistake small businesses make is poor follow-up and nurture. It is well documented that 80% of all sales happen after 7 to 21 touches. Yet, let me ask you this, what percentage of time do you dedicate towards the front end as opposed to the back end? If 80% of all sales have been documented to be 7 to 21 touches, why don't we spend more time on the back end? In our industry, we are infected by a sales now only culture, meaning either the person converts now and if they don't, they're gone. Eat what you kill, immediate gratification. If they don't say yes right now, they're gone forever. The bottom line is adding follow-up sequences and relentless follow-up. And this is why I'm such a big fan of Infusionsoft. will increase all your sales by 5 to 20%, period. Sales follow-up will increase all sales by 5 to 20%. My inner circle members are getting people that are coming back after 15 years of not being in. So here's some, please write these down. Just this list will make you money. Is it an appointment, no buy procedure or sequence? Meaning Roth or report of findings, no adjustment. Is there a sequence? Is there follow-up? Is there processes? Is there a workshop, no purchase of voucher procedure? Okay, sales appointment, no buy. Is there a process to contact them or follow up with them? Number 2, are there attempts to decrease buyer's remorse? How many of you ever bought something and then the day after go, holy cow, I can't believe I spent so much money on a stupid Armani thing? That's called buyer's remorse. I know we've all had it, right? So there are processes you need to factor in to decrease buyer's remorse. So here's a little one. What about a basic thank you video? What about a stick letter? Here's another one. If you're doing adjustment 1, even if let's say you're seeing someone twice a week. Adjustment 2, okay, let's say it's a Thursday. The temptation is to go, okay, I'm going to see you twice a week. I'm going to see you Mondays and Thursdays. So I'll see you next week, Monday. Don't do that. Get them in for the second adjustment. Within just that tip there is going to increase your sales or increase your retention. Get them in for second touch as quick as possible, because is there potential that something might flare, something might change? Of course there is. So you need to see them and ease their mind, right? So the more communication you have, the higher your retention will be. Huge tip there. Do not do adjustment 2, okay, a week later. Big mistake, because are things going to change? Of course, things are going to change. So is there attempts to decrease buyer's remorse? Thank you notes, stick letters, video messages, whatever it is. Is there an NFA procedure? That's no future appointments. If someone's got no future appointments, are they put into a follow-up sequence? We've got all of these. Are there attempts to send thank you notes or gifts post-referral? So we are rewarding, write this down, we are rewarding the behavior you'd like to see more of in the practice. That's all you're trying to do. Another process, though, I'm going to get a bit woo-woo on you. You cannot expect more if you do not appreciate what is. How many of you love getting referrals? If you are not sending thank you letters for your referrals, it's the least we can do, right? I just don't understand why anyone wouldn't do it. Yes, it takes a bit of work, but it's important. Are there attempts to nurture high-value clients through the post? So are you sending stuff through print mail? We recommend and we do a done-for-you newsletter for my clients. You've got to do it, right? Print is important. Email's cheap, and I know, and that gives it its value too, because no one values that. Is there repeatable automated attempts to cross-sell? Meaning if you have multidisciplinary, if someone spends a lot of money here, they'll more than likely want the thing over here too, or at least offer them the opportunity to do that. If you have more than one service, we don't have this much. Are there do not attend sequences? So sales appointment, didn't pitch. Is there a effort and a sequence to reactivate them back into the sales appointment? Does anybody phone clients or patients who have previously bought care plans and offer them that thing again? Hey, John, you come twice a week and your whole family comes, and you're about to come to the end of your care plan, etc. I know you've had your report. I know you've had your progress exam, etc. Would you like to just do that thing again? Now, normally that's done by the doc, by the way, but it's a process to at least think about. Here's an example. What if you sell orthotics? How many pairs of shoes does someone have? Just one? If someone bought a pair of orthotics for their running shoes, do you think there's a chance they want a pair of orthotics for something else? Hello? Yeah, freaking heck. So make the call. Are there no future appointment sequences or procedures in place? I've kind of gone through that already. Cool. So the most valuable sentence you can say in any of your practices is, now that they have done this, what next? Write that down. If you just keep on asking that. Now that they've done this, what next? Now that they've done this, what next? Now that they've done this, what next? Now that they've clicked on this email, what next? Now that they've bought this care plan, what next? Oh, stick letter, thank you letter, referral letter, post, whatever it is. Now that they've reached their 24th visit, what next? Now that they have bought a care plan for their entire family, what next? Now that they've sent me a referral, what next? I can keep going. Now that they didn't attend the initial consultation, what next? You guys with me? Now that they've done this, what next? Okay, sounds like a lot of work. Well, the inconvenient truth is that there must be a simple solution, right? Well, one of the root causes of missed opportunities, lost revenues, and profits and failure is always looking for the simple solution to complex problems or opportunities. You always, oh, there must be a simple solution. I'm sure I don't want to do this. I don't have to do this. Where often there is no simple solution. Okay, please understand that. Many of you are looking for the simple solution to complex problems where simple solutions don't exist. And let me say one more thing, and I'll kind of wrap it up with this, and then we'll go into some case studies. What if you just don't want to do this stuff? You're like, Ryan, this sounds like a freaking lot of work. Well, there's a phrase, doing something, you often have to do something you don't want to do to get results you very much want. It has a name. Give me a hand up if you'd like to know the name. Cool. Doing something you would rather not do to get the results you very much want to. Let me give you an example. I don't really like writing emails. Honestly, now I'm starting to enjoy them, but I know that to write the email, I've got to do that to get the results I want to do, right? And it's called doing something you'd rather not do to get the result you very much want, the lifestyle you very much want, the abundance you very much want, is called maturity. It's called maturity. So stop sharing my screen. Cool. How many of you learned something? Cool. So how many of you got something to work on? You got something to work on? Frickin' heck, you got something to work on. Oh my word. So what's a stick letter? A stick letter is just like, hey, just reinforcing that the purchase of the thing was a good thing to do. So listen, I just want to get a quick few testimonials on here before Brian comes on. But I just wanted to quickly, is Gareth here? Gareth, are you with us? Just unmute yourself. You are.
I'm here. How can you not see my beautiful face?
Dude, there's a lot of people in front of me here. First of all, everyone give Gareth a wave. Give Gareth a wave if you've got a screen there. Awesome. So let me tell you a bit about Gareth. Guys, Gareth works...
Not that thing. Don't tell them that.
No, I won't tell them that. Gareth works as an associate in my business for many, many years, and now has opened his own practice. He has an interesting story. His open week was the week before COVID lockdown. He had been open for 1 week and then he got shut down. He had over 100 new patients in his schedule. He implemented a lot of the strategies we taught him, and he was absolutely rocking. But then he got rocked by this thing. So Gareth, tell us a little bit about your reopening. I know we've spoken specifically about sales. Yeah, some of the things that you implemented. How did it help you? What did you do in the business?
Well, obviously for me, it's slightly different for me in the first place, mainly because obviously, although we had a list of people and new patients that we'd already had booked in, they weren't under care yet. We only had 3 people under care by the time that first week had finished. So obviously when we got shut down, and I'd obviously spoken to Ryan and gone through a few other things and a few other people, just decided to really concentrate on the people that we had, which is like 3-4 people, make sure we put a lot of love into them, make sure they got the support and that they knew that we're all fine and safe as a business. There's one particular report on, I think, the Friday before we shut down and said, well, I won't commit now because I'm unsure that you'll still be here as a practice. And that's a pretty sobering moment at that time. He's now back in under care now, which is great. And I kind of want to be like, yeah, I showed you, we'd be fine. But the main things that we did was just keep in touch. So we kept in touch with patients. And although obviously we didn't have that strong relationship, I got a CRM, and that I found that the hardest thing to do. I'm really untechnical, and got a CRM, went and just sent emails at least twice a week to people, just keeping in touch with them as much as possible. But then when we went back, I just got both of my CAs to call as much as they could. They spent pretty much all day for the 1 week, on the phone, phoning everybody they could. And we're still doing that because we've got lots of people who are not back in. But I did the numbers for the month just gone in May, of which we were only open 3 weeks, and we took £17,500 in those 3 weeks.
Now, can you imagine, guys? This is where I say cash is king, okay? First of all, you first opened the practice first time in your entire life. You just understand the process of generating leads and then the process of helping people come and join you and being able to do the thing we just spoke about today. And you've never done business and you've gone from there to $17,000 and you're certainly not doing that in actually services, but you're able to have cash in advance. How many think that's pretty cool?
Yeah,
yes?
Collections, yeah.
Pretty cool. And so Gareth, like, what do you think, what is your big tip then? I mean, I know, when it comes to helping someone, it's a big conversation and you've got like only a few minutes. And I know that Gareth and myself, if you join me on the sales and conversion boot camp, you will see Gareth a lot on that because what he does is pretty phenomenal in his practice. And one of the things that you've done really, really well is fully understanding how important the day 1 and day 2 is. Mm-hmm. And if there's one tip you gave everyone right now, what would it be?
Be empathetic on your initial assessment and make sure, this is going to be 2 tips, but dial in and find out why they are there and ramp, as you said already, ramp the emotion up. You have to be able to link the problems they have to the emotional reason why they're there with you, and then be able to understand and put chiropractic in there to understand about how it can help them reach that. And you have to obviously ethically be able to do that, but let's be honest, there are not many people who you can't really. So that's been huge, been absolutely huge. And
why do you think we struggle so much with it though? Like, I mean, as a profession, like it feels almost uncomfortable. Like think about this now. It almost feels uncomfortable to talk about it in this setting, almost, and it's like kind of part of the problem. And why do you think we almost struggle to go
ego
there?
I think it's ego. I think we want to be like I find myself triggered by it lots, especially on social media, but more thinking about like looking at, what are they doing? What are they doing here? Like talking about our peers. But rather than just for that time being present with that individual and being like, look, I know like an ego doesn't mean that you can't think you're good at what you do. Like that's super important. You need to be able to know yourself and know that you're a good practitioner, you're good at what you do, you know what your skill set is, but also making sure that you can understand from that person and be there for them and understand what they need. And I mean, I had a patient today, she quite clearly couldn't afford care, like talking about how she's in debt and everything like this all the way through. And I would love this to be a story about how she like signed up for a middle number plan, but she didn't. But I wasn't going to change my recommendations or change my price plan to suit her, because she will be one of those who would come a couple of times and I'd be left feeling awful. But in that time, we'll follow up with her relentlessly. And it might be, she told me to take her 5 years out of debt. As soon as she's out of debt, she'll be coming to us. That's the way that I see it. Cool. Because of that connection that we made in that time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really think that, I really do think, they're one of the biggest mistakes we make in any small business, but we are just the worst at it. Like especially a mom and pop industry is really investing in the follow-up and seeing any value in it. But if I show that one stat, if it's a proven fact that 80% of sales happen after 7 to 21 touches, and we just throw away leads and opportunities because we had one opportunity with them. Most of the time it happens because people don't create enough content. But that's freaking awesome, dude. Listen, I just want to say that I'm so impressed with what you've done to open you. I mean, imagine being able to look back and go, I opened a practice a week before the biggest economic shock this planet's ever seen.
The book is going to be good. Maybe
the book is going to be,
trying to think and then play me in a movie. We'll see.
And then having the skill set to be able to maneuver your way out of that from a cash flow perspective. Because I would say that you would be more cash rich from the business than 90% of people who've been in practice for 20 years. Why? Because you can generate, and cash is still king, specifically at this time in everything. So, dude, that's freaking awesome. Listen, guys, please give Gareth a virtual round of applause. Dude, you're a rock star. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I know you got a busy, you're big, 3 kids, a busy family.
They're all asleep. It's fine.
So thank you so much for sharing with us. You're amazing. Guys, if you're on the webinar portion, just give us a hand up. If you enjoyed Gareth, give us a hand up. If you appreciated him, give me a hand up. We've got some good stuff coming. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Gareth, you're getting a lot here. You're getting a lot of love. Thanks, brother.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers. Bye, guys.
I just make sure. Let me know. Okay, cool. So, listen, I just want to pivot a little bit here. I want to share. There's still 2 testimonials I really want to go through, but we'll do it kind of a little bit at the end. But I think many of you have been waiting for this tonight and watching this bald guy speak for 2 hours, waiting for a real legend, and it's a real honor to have him on tonight. And I believe he's here one moment. But before I introduce him, I'm very privileged to have him on board, and his team's just been so amazing to work with. And I don't know if he knows this, but this was the very first book I ever read when it came to sales. The very first book I ever read when it came to sales. I don't know if Brian knows that, but if you please do me a big favor, everybody, and virtually, please give Mr. Brian Tracy a huge round of applause. Hi, Brian.
How are you, Ryan? So nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. How are you?
Wonderful. And thank you very much for your kind comment on that book. You know, I'm just one of my clients I was just talking to last week, who's now a multi-millionaire, started off basically in knocking on doors and selling the way you and I do. And he said, basically, that book changed his life. And I've had other people say they found the book in a bookstore and it's in the bottom shelf because my name is T. So it's not up at a higher level. And they found the book and they read the book and their life is different ever since. Most important thing is the concept they say of self-esteem. Is how much you like yourself and how much you respect yourself. And I can see in you, you know, you have this warm attitude. You actually like yourself. And the more you like yourself, the more you like the people you work with. And the more you like the people you work with, the more they like you back. It's such a simple upward spiral, but it's the key to business success.
Yeah. Why do you think, Brian? I mean, this. If you haven't read, first of all, you haven't read the book, guys. Just do yourself a favor. It's amazing. It's amazing how many chiropractic analogies I found in here, Brian.
Yes.
I know you've done a lot of work with that, and we have a mutual friend in Dan Kennedy, and it was very interesting to see that. But why do you think when you talk about self-esteem, when you talk about liking yourself more, to have abundance in sales and stuff, why do you think that a lot of people missed over that? It's almost like a bit woo-woo, and we'll talk about it in this setting, but why do you think that it's kind of a taboo subject at times for success, to talk about loving yourself first, liking yourself first, self-esteem, belief in your product or service?
Well, it was the turning point in my life when I discovered that there's a direct relationship between how much you like yourself and how much you like others, and how much they like you right back. And in selling, the reason I've been so successful in selling, I have sold more books and audio and video programs in more countries, now at 84 countries, in 50 languages. I just learned this from my publisher earlier this week. 50 languages. The number one finding that people tell me over and over again is that the more they worked on themselves, which is completely under your control. That's the most amazing thing, is the more they worked on themselves, the more everything around them just fell into place, because everything counts. This is a very important thing for all of our friends here, is everything counts. Everything you do helps or hurts. Everything raises your self-esteem or lowers it. Nothing is neutral. Nothing is neutral. So therefore, if you get up in the morning and plan your day and exercise and get fit and organize your time, every one of those positive, constructive steps makes you feel better about yourself. And you automatically are a better person in your interactions with your clients. Mm-hmm. Where it starts mostly is with your kids, with your children and your spouse. Mm-hmm. I mean, I learned this before I had my first child, the importance of self-esteem and self-respect and valuing yourself. And I've taught my children. This I learned because I had a Catholic upbringing. My children have never been criticized. I have 4 children. The oldest is 40. The youngest is 28. They've never been criticized. They've always been boosted. Do we have arguments? Do we have difficulties? Do we have challenges? Absolutely. But I've always treated them as though they were really valuable and important people. And that just gives them almost like it just gives them a sort of an iron protection, is that nothing stops them. In selling, we say the most important requirement is self-discipline.
Yeah.
Self-discipline, self-respect, and that everything that you do to discipline yourself, to commit yourself. The best definition I learned from a man many years ago, is the ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not.
Oof.
And
Oof.
and what I learned was that persistence is self-discipline in action. Persistence is self-discipline in action. So whenever you set a goal and then you persist to achieve that goal, your self-esteem goes up. You like yourself. You become a stronger and more powerful person. You get along better with other people, and they get along better with you. In chiropractic, and of course, I've been associated with chiropractic for decades. Some of my best friends are chiropractors. In chiropractic, the most important thing is how much the person likes and respects you. How much your patient likes and respects you. Because treating a patient once, as the gentleman just said, treating a patient once or twice, it has no future in our business. What you want is not only the patient, but everybody that the patient knows and who knows the patient. That it is not sales, but it's resales. It's not taking care of a patient, it's taking care of them again and again. And the most important thing of all, as Peter Drucker said, there are 3 parts of successful business. Number 1, to make the first sale. Number 2 is to make the second sale, because the client, the patient, was so happy with their first experience. And number 3 is bring your friends so they can have the same experience that you had. Make the sale, make the second sale, and bring your friends. Those 3 I call the golden triangle of building a successful practice. And I'm sorry to say, but I have worked with really great chiropractors, and I've worked with people who are not really great. Yeah. And in every case, the ones that were great were recommended to me. This business is all a referral business. I said, I have these pains in my back and leg. He said, you should see this person. You should see this person. This is my chiropractor, and he is really great. And you know what? You don't argue or debate or ask for referrals or anything else. If somebody that you respect likes a particular chiropractor, it just flips over. It just extends. So if I like them, you like them, you just go. Don't even question the prices. That's another thing. I've done all kinds of research on this, and I've done a complete seminar, is how to sell higher priced products or services against lower price competition. How do you do that? Well, when I did my research, and I did a half-day seminar on it. When I did my research, I found that price is never the reason for anything, unless the person, of course, is flat broke, as one of our friends just said. If they have no money at all, there's no point in trying to get blood out of a stone, as we say. And so in selling, when we're going through this process today, we always say we have to go back to the basics. You have to go back to the basics, all right? And I'm running away with this conversation. So
go for it.
No, well, there are 7 basics in selling, and it's almost like cooking in the kitchen with a recipe. Many years ago, when I was young, I found when I went out with girls, I would take them to a restaurant that served Caesar salad, because I like Caesar salad. And I don't know if there's anybody here who likes Caesar salad, but I like Caesar salad. So I would go to a restaurant that served Caesar salad. And then one day I noticed that it was a nice restaurant. I still remember it clearly. I noticed that the guy making the salad, and that was the time when they made the salad in a table next to you. And he was whipping up the salad and putting in the ingredients. And I noticed he was not very smart. I mean, could never be a chiropractor. I mean, he was not a very smart guy. And yet he was whipping up a beautiful Caesar salad. And I said, all you need is a recipe to make the Caesar salad. I said, how is it that you're so good at making a Caesar salad? He said, well, they showed me back in the kitchen. You follow these steps, and then you serve the salad. So I decided, by gum, I'm going to get the recipe. And the first thing I did, I borrowed a recipe book from my mother, and then I went downtown and bought a book, and then I followed the recipe. And I did what every single person does. I deviated from the recipe. I said, well, that's not that
Yeah.
important. I don't need to do this, or
Yeah.
nobody will notice that, and so on. Very small things. For example, they say you need fresh lemon. So what you do is you take a lemon, you cut it in half, and you squeeze it. You need the lemon from half. Well, so what I did is I bought lemon, a jar or a bottle of lemon juice, and put it in, and it wasn't that. Then they say, well, you need garlic, fresh garlic. Well, I went out and bought garlic in a jar. And then you need romaine salad. So I went out and bought a cheaper salad and throw it all together. And I just broke all the rules, and the salad just kept coming out lousy. So I finally said, all right, I'm going to make this salad exactly the way the recipe says. And I did. One of the things it said is you need a wooden salad bowl, not a plastic bowl, not a steel bowl.
Yeah.
You need a wooden salad bowl, and you need to garlic. You need to take a half clove of garlic, and you need to rub it all around that bowl, so the whole bowl is garlic. And then you start to put in the ingredients, and you use olive oil, and you use tarragon vinegar. Nobody knows this. And by the way, if you like Caesar salad, go to my website, briantracy.com, and you'll say Brian Caesar salad recipe, and download it, no charge. And everybody who's ever done that said the next salad they made was the best salad they ever made in their life. Their family was just tipped over. They couldn't believe how good it was.
Brian, we're very blessed to have you joining us at our, for those in our inner circle group that know this, at our mastermind in about a month's time, and we're very excited about that. But what I'm going to do is a challenge to my crew is everyone's going to have made a Brian Tracy Caesar salad prior to the event and a photo for you, Brian. How's that?
That's wonderful. Now, another thing to remember is that there's 14 steps in a Caesar salad, and if you miss any one, it will diminish the quality of the salad. In selling, I've done the same thing. I've given this little kind of talk about Caesar salad and selling to many people, and people have written to me and say, "You changed my life. You changed my life. You changed my life." I was, cutting corners. I had heard about these things, but I cut a little corner here and a little corner there. Oh, what the heck? Nobody would notice. Yeah. Yes, they would notice. So here's the 7 keys to becoming wealthy as a chiropractor or in any other field. Number 1 is prospecting. And prospecting is finding people who can and will use your services within a reasonable period of time. That's a very important point. That definition I developed over the years is finding someone who can and will buy and use your services within a reasonable period of time. So if a person is not likely to purchase your services within a reasonable period of time, thank them very much for their time and give them your business card and say, if I can be of help to you in the future, please call me. I'd love to be of service to you, but I know that you're a busy person, so I'll just let you get on with your day and I'll get on with my day. In other words, don't try to sell to people who say, if they say, I don't have the money, here's one of my rules. If someone says they don't have the money, believe them. Believe them. Don't argue with them. Don't debate. Don't listen to this nonsense where people say, oh, everybody's got the money and they can get the money if they want it. And all you have to do is find the way. No, if a person will tell you, a complete stranger, someone that they've never met before, one of the most revealing things about their life, that they don't have any money, if they're willing to expose themselves like that, believe them and keep moving. The critical thing about prospecting is to find people that you like and who like you. Now, with regard to prospecting, I always look at my patients or clients on how I can serve them, how I can help them. Is basically, I love my customers, and I found that when I was starving, a customer made the difference between eating and not eating. Yeah. And by God, I really like them because they bought from me and I could eat. And for the rest of my life, I've always loved my customers. When I stand and speak to an audience of 5 or 5,000, the people in the audience know I genuinely care about them. I genuinely want to help them to improve the quality of their life. And when you feel that, and by the way, if you do that, the money will come. Concentrate on finding the right people and the money will come. And so that was the first thing, learning how to prospect and learning how to sort them out. You ever see that movie or those pictures where the Japanese chick sorters. You know what I'm talking about? Where the chicks are coming down the belt, and
Yes,
these
yes.
these specialists, they have the ability to feel a chick and determine if it's male or female, and they sort them like this. I always love that little picture of them sorting, and the male are immediately sorted this way so they can be raised as chicken and butchered and sent to the store, and the others that lay eggs go to the other side. And these people have this incredible sense, this wonderful ability to separate, and they go left, right, left, right, left, right. You can't even imagine, but as a result, they're extraordinarily effective. Your job is to sort out people, because what you want is people you like and people who like you.
Yeah.
The best chiropractors have patients that have been with them forever, and the patients would never go anywhere else. And those patients become almost the major source of new business. Your very best business is always going to come from previous business. And that's going to come by taking care of people and making it clear that you like them, that you care about them, that you want to help them. This is not just a financial transaction, because you're talking about a person's health and their business and their life. Anyway, so that's number one. Number two is building rapport and trust. And this is what has enabled me to be so successful in sales. I read all the studies. I took all the courses. I went through the Xerox system, and the Xerox system is basically very good, clever, fast talk, twisting, turning, arm wrestling, getting the customer to buy. And I always felt that that was wrong. I felt that the most important thing was to get the person to like and trust you, and only deal with people that you like and trust. Don't ever fake it. You know, you fake it till you make it. You hear that? Impossible. People are so hypersensitive. They know if you like them genuinely, or if you just see them as a source of revenue. And so if you don't like people, make it clear that you don't like them. One of the best things you can do is turn them over to somebody else in your office who may like them. But if you don't like them, let them go. You know, remember the old saying, some will, some won't. So what? Next. So therefore, some will get along with you wonderfully, some won't. So what? Next. Don't be so sensitive that you have to get everybody to like you, because everybody's not going to like you. You are, I'll tell you, everybody watching this, you are wonderful human beings, but some people don't realize that. So you just let them go. So the fact is, you cannot build a relationship with a patient until you like and trust them and they like and trust you. If you start to talk about costs, services, activities before you have reached that point, then you'll kill the sale, as we say. A good friend of mine is a man named Neil Rackham, and Neil Rackham was commissioned by several of the biggest companies in the world. They all put in $5 million. They put together a $25 million pool. And for 20 years, what he did is he interviewed customers in a variety of different industries, including chiropractic. And they videotaped them and they asked them questions. And the critical question is, why did you buy from this supplier rather than from someone else? And Neil's a wonderful guy. He's British, as a matter of fact, and he's just a wonderful man. I just love the guy. And what he did is he asked these questions, and he found that the 70% or more of the reason for a person purchasing was because the person selling the services believed so strongly in the goodness of your services and in your ability to render those services. They just, the passion and belief in the goodness of what you were doing just came through. And as a result, people bought from them. Why didn't they buy? Is they just didn't feel comfortable with the provider of the services. So starting off, if you start to talk about the cost or the services or the technical aspects of it, before you have established this level of rapport and trust, you kill the sale and you kill the relationship, and they'll give you, have you ever heard the words? I'll often ask my audiences, Ryan, I say, have you ever heard the words, let me think about it, leave me some information, I'll call you back later, I'm not in the market right now. Have you ever heard these words? And what these words mean, they equal you're a lousy salesman or salesperson, and I'll never talk to you again. So whenever the person says, let me think it over, it means thank you, goodbye. I will never talk to you again. I'll never take your calls. I will never phone you back. I will never respond to your communication. It's over, goodbye, forever. And so what you do is if you start to talk about the technical aspects of your services before you have built this level of rapport, you'll kill the sale. Now, how do you know when it's time to start talking about the business? What is involved in terms of your services, how many times you'll have to see them, what it will cost, and so on and so on. How do you know? The answer is very simple. They will ask you, please tell me, what do you do and how much does it cost? They will ask you, they will invite you, they will open their arms metaphysically, or sorry, metaphorically. They'll open your arms and say, tell me what you got.
Brian, I often, sorry to jump in there, I often say that to, if you've ever had that, and most people listening to this have had that in some way, shape, or form, it is the most golden sentence any of us could ever hear. It just takes all the pressure off, and it just feels amazing when you get that. Tell me about the thing. How much does it cost, and how do we get started?
Yes, and how does it work? Well, the very best client is one who says, well, how does it work to relieve my pain or my stress? Please tell me so that I understand what I'm paying for or what I'm getting into. Now, here's an interesting thing that Neil found, is that the sale is actually made in the presentation, but the presentation is dependent upon your identifying the client's needs accurately. So your ability to ask good questions and listen intently to the answers and then respond to those questions is what sets up the stage for the sale. And the sale is when you explain to the client what you do and why this works for you. In the presentation, and 95% of presentations can be improved. But the very best salespeople in 32 industries, including chiropractic, have a wonderful ability of explaining why my services are actually going to make you feel better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to sleep better. In other words, but tell me why this is going to take place. And when I understand why, you own me, because you are the one who introduced me to it. You were the one who sold me. You were the one who helped me to understand. Why is it that people don't use chiropractic? It's because they don't think it'll do any good. Why? It's because nobody's ever explained to them why it will help them. And so what they do is they give you let me think it over. Let me talk it over with my friends. Do you have any people I could talk to who have you worked with, and so on and so forth? No. If you build rapport, all they want to know is how it works. And so the examination, I'd say step number one is talking to the right people. Step number two is building rapport and trust. Step number three is asking good questions and understanding the examination, we could call it. I say in selling, I say, see yourself as a doctor of selling versus a doctor of chiropractic. The first part of being a doctor is the examination. And the better you do the examination, the more the patient trusts you and likes you and believes that you can help them. And the best doctors, I've had a lot of medical problems in the last 2 or 3 years. And for some reason, I have been referred by my doctors to the best doctors that I could believe. I mean, these people are wonderful, and they've helped me. And I noticed that their starting point is they do a superb examination. So when they recommend that this is what we need to do, it's just slam dunk. As they say in basketball, 100%. I'll do anything that they say, because they have taken the time to understand me and to want to help me. So asking good questions, and then the presentation. The presentation is where you explain to them, no attempt to sell. This is really important. You make no attempt to sell anything. And in the back of your mind, you should have this feeling that if the person decides to use my service, it's good. If they don't, they don't. And in either case, you have no emotional involvement in making the sale. All you want to do is explain that if you work with me and I work with you, this is what I will do, and this is what will happen to you as a result. And people always buy the result. People always buy what will happen at the end of the process. And so we say the doctor of selling is like a doctor of chiropractic. Step number one is the examination. And the more complete the examination, the more the prospect likes and trusts you. Step two is the diagnosis, where you explain clearly, this is why you have these aches and pains in this area at this time, and so on. Because when people understand, the light goes on. This is sort of like the light bulb in the cartoons. The light goes on. And the number three part is the prescription. Prescription is where you explain, based on the examination and the diagnosis, this is what we should do. And they say, that's it. And the question of cost always comes at the end or not at all. There are 7 critical reasons, we don't need to go into them, that a person will purchase chiropractic services. The price is always number 7, if it comes up at all. Sometimes the price, the human beings always ask the price because human beings like to know what things cost. And human beings like to know what things cost relative or in comparison with other things. They're not asking for the price because they're they don't want to pay the price. They just need to know it's a piece of information. And so therefore, when they ask the price, they're just asking for a piece of information, and give it to them clearly, and give it to them without flinching, without blinking, without defending. You know, if you have a problem with a potential patient who's concerned about price, it's because you're setting off vibes that say that you are uneasy about the price. They say most people selling have what is called price neurosis. Price neurosis. They're a little bit hypersensitive. They really are. Most of us, by the way, come from lives of limited means. None of us were born rich, and so therefore we are earning good money. When you have the skill to be able to offer chiropractic services and the money that you charge, that's a lot of money compared to where you came from. And many people are hypersensitive about the fact that it costs this much, and they set off these vibes and causes the potential patient to say, something's wrong here. This guy's kind of acting funny. I mean, as soon as I ask the price, he goes so blinking and winking and moving and sort of leaning forward. So they say that most of the problems about price are created by the person selling in the first
Brian, what if I can just jump in there quickly? You know, very early when I spending quite a bit of time with Dan Kennedy, etc., and he often says that he's absolutely convinced that, to your point, there's a certain level of telepathy. He uses the word telepathy, actually, that occurs between the buyer and the seller, if, for instance, that is the case.
Yes.
And to not get too woo-woo for everyone on the webinar but just understanding that that's how sensitively, how acute, the acuity to people, we're connected, that people can sense that off you. So I find it so interesting that you said that. What's that? Price neurosis.
Yes. And so the 80-20 rule, you never get away from it. It just keeps coming back over and over again. 80% of the reason that the person chooses you to give them chiropractic services is because of the emotional connection between you and them. And this is the same whether you're selling legal services or technical services or dog walking services. It's always the same. 80% is how the person feels about it. So therefore, that's where you focus. And you focus on asking questions. And when you ask questions, here's another thing, and it's one of the most beautiful lessons I ever learned in selling, is that listening builds trust. Listening builds trust. And I think you should write that down. You should tattoo it on your hand so that you're constantly reading that. Listening builds trust. So how do you get a chance to listen? You ask good questions. And sometimes just your ability to ask good questions and then listen intently to the answers. Lean forward when a person is giving you answers. One of the things that you can do to connect with the person is to just write down notes. Just say, do you mind if I write this down? I'm sure you always do this, but if a person doesn't write it down, what they're saying is that I don't really care that much about your answer. I'm asking this because we go through this ritual but I don't really care. But if you write it down, is that the person thinks, well, you really care about what I say. You really care about what I say. It's a small thing. And so ask questions, listen intently to the answers, and ask follow-up questions. And when you ask questions and listen intently, the person likes you and trusts you. And as they like you and trust you, they want to do business with you. They want you to be their person. So now the fifth challenge in selling, the fifth part of the selling process is answering objections. And all customers or all patients have objections, and they feel almost like automatic, unless the person is so sold that they don't have any objections. But the reason that they have objections are basically for clarification, is they don't fully understand. And if a customer has no objections, it means they have no interest. So when they start to object, that costs, it sounds like it costs a lot of money, and what if it doesn't work, and how many times do I have to come before I see a difference? With all good customers have objections, and if they don't object, it means that they're not interested in purchasing. So one of the examples that I use, for several years, I went fishing, salmon fishing, up in northern British Columbia. And when you fish with salmon fishing, probably any kind of fishing, you fish and you run out the line, and what are you looking for? You've got bait on there, you're waiting for the fish to take the bait. You're waiting for the fish to tug at the line. Now, the high point of fishing is when the fish starts to tug at the line. And you're standing there and they're tugging and it's tugging. And this is what you came here for. You paid a fortune to take a private plane all the way up here into northern British Columbia and rent a boat and go. Anyway, and then when they bite, when they take the bite, that's what you came for. So when a prospect begins to object to pricing or timing or anything else, what they're saying is, I'm really interested and I need your help to remove any concerns that I might have that would stop me from using your services. So when they object, you always say, that's a good question. That is a good, why does it cost so much? That is a good question. That is a good question. Why is your schedule, why do I have to come multiple times? Geez, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. You always compliment them on the concern that they have. You always respect their concern. And, and knowing that when they start to ask questions, is they've decided they're on the verge of retaining you and your services. So therefore, just expect it and smile and be happy to hear it and compliment them and tell them what a good, and give them examples of other people. You know, I have one of my best patients. Always talk about your other patients as though they are really exceptional people. And you say, you know, one of the patients I have, this person, this man, this woman, is a remarkable person. I learned so much from him or her. He or she was so insightful. You know, you talk about your existing patients as though they're really remarkable people. And what happens in the mind of the prospective patient? The answer is they want to be that kind of a person. They want you to talk about them exactly the way you talk about other people. So you're always very complimentary and tell good stories. By the way, there's nothing more persuasive than success stories. A person who had the same problem or difficulty, and then they had a success experience, and this is where they are now. We call it before and after. Is before they had this situation, they came to you, and afterwards, this is how they were. And people always put themselves into the position of the person you're telling the story about. And they want to be that successful, happy patient. They want to have the same success experience. Hey, hold on. All right.
Brian, it's so interesting. You know, one of the things that I thought fascinating you mentioned there was objections. And I think it's very important, because what happens is when most people get objections is that we believe that an objection is a no. We believe or anxiety in some way, shape, or form pops up. And to a point that's very similar. I was once taught this, often at times, I can't remember who taught me this, but it was on a similar vein that often objections or complaints, even within a business, is often just a cry for help.
Cry for help. Complaints are wonderful because what the person is saying is, please remove this concern that I have so that I can consume your services. Help me out here. I need you to reassure me that this will not happen, or that this has been taken care of. So you're right. Complaint isn't not just a call for help, but a complaint is help to remove the mental obstacle that's holding the person back from using your services. So when they complain, you compliment them. Always you make people feel valuable. You say, and in many cases, the person will give you an objection that you've heard before, but you treat it like you've never heard it before. Like this is a remarkable, it's an astonishingly insightful observation on the entire field of chiropractic and relationships between patients and doctors. It's just, wow. That is really insightful. Let me see if I can answer that for you. And you hesitate, and then you kind of maybe just kind of stumble around a bit, and you say, the best answer I could give you for that may have come from one of my patients who had a similar concern, and then this is what they said, and then I said, and in other words, if you can take that complaint or objection and you can put it into the mouth of a happy patient and talk about how happy this patient is once you resolve that concern, that will often cause the person to buy. That's it. All the objections disappear. So that's good. Remember, an objection is an opportunity to make a sale, but treat it like it's a really important observation, and that this person is really intelligent for having brought it up. And so now we come to number 6, is closing the sale, is getting the person to make a decision, and it's so important. Many years ago when I began speaking, I was struggling, and so I came up with a seminar, and I called it 24 Techniques for Closing the Sale. And I made it a 3-hour seminar, and I designed it so that there was everything that you do to set up the sale, and then 24 different ways to ask for the sale. And it became one of maybe the best-selling program on closing the sales in the world. And when they came out with Amazon, and then they came out with your ability to actually create your own programs, your own books on Amazon, I said, well, if I'm going to teach people or tell people to write their own book on Amazon, I should do it myself. So one afternoon, I sat down and I wrote the book, and I think I called it "Close That Sale!" ! And put a price on it, I think of $5 or $6. And many people said that they made them rich. It was so simple, just different ways. And I could spend the next 3 or 4 hours, but I very strongly urge you to go, and you can either download the audio version or you can download the book version. But it's very important that you know how to ask for the order. No pressure, no twisting and turning, just very simple, honest ways of asking for the person. I say it's like reaching out your hand and taking the hand of the prospect and leading them across the water. So how do you ask? And one of the simplest closing techniques of all is, well, what would you like to do now? Or how soon would you like to get started? And then you just pull out your appointment book or whatever you use, as though the decision has been made. Now it's just a technical thing, just to determine the timing and so on. But always have a way of asking for the order. And the best closing technique of all is just simply to say, what would you like to do now? And take out your pen and your paper, and let's get started. How soon would you like to get started? Just little things like this. People need to be closed, even if the person loves you and wants to use your services and has no further reason. For some reason, we say when you're dating, when you're young and dating, is a girl likes to be asked. They're not going to pull off their clothes and jump all over you. They need to be asked. They need to be. They need for you to close the sale.
Yeah.
And in chiropractic, there's about 2 or 3 closing techniques that you can use in chiropractic. That if you have those 3, 80% or more of people will sign up and become your patients. But you have to know how to ask, and you have to have the courage to just ask. Just ask for the order. And finally, number 7, and number 7 is something that I have fallen in love with, is your very best patients are your existing patients, your very best customers. Your very best patients are the very best sources of other patients. Is many people advertise in different ways, but what you should be doing is spending 80 or 90% of your promotional activities in working with your existing patients, in taking such good care of them that they want their friends to enjoy the same experience that they have with you. And so the very best clients are the ones that will recommend their friends. I just downloaded an article on an area that I've been studying for the last few years. And when I found it, it was called The Ultimate Question. It's a book, The Ultimate Question. And when I found it and I read it, I almost died and went to heaven. And what it basically said was that the ultimate question is this. Mr. Prospect, may I ask you a question? Based on your experience with us, on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of a score would you give us in terms of recommending us to other people? And this is called the ultimate question. Based on your experience with us, on a scale of 9 to 10, what kind of a grade would you give us to describe us to other people? Now, what they have found in exhaustive research is that if a person gives you a 9 or a 10, that means that they're 100% close. Are you familiar with this, Ryan?
Yeah, it's actually and also Robert Cialdini's book Influence. His Persuasion, his new book Persuasion. He often talks about this concept of a study done so similar, Brian, where outside, let's say you were trying to get people to fill in a questionnaire. If you simply ask them before filling in the questionnaire, sir, do you mind if I ask you a question on a scale of 1 to 10? Would you consider yourself, or do you consider yourself someone that's helpful? And if they answered the question as yes or high, the chances of them filling in the survey, like in the street, went up like 10, or it was like a 90% chance. But it was that pre-framing question prior to the event, which you are going to, which you are.
Yes. And what they found, they did this at Bain & Company, the same company that Mitt Romney came out of. What they found was that of all the questionnaires and knocking on doors and telephone calls and mailing and everything else, you could throw them all away and just ask one question. On a scale of 1 to 10, would you recommend us, based on your experience with us, would you recommend us to others? On a scale of 1 to 10. And if they give you a 9 or a 10, it means that they're very happy and that they would recommend you to others and that they're going to use your services over and over again. They basically have what one of the great marketers called customers for life or patients for life. If they give you a grade of 7 or 8, it means that they're in the middle. They're not sold, they're not unsold, but they're in the middle. And if somebody else comes along with what is apparently a more attractive offer, then they will move. They're ready to leave you. The third is a grade between 1 and 6. These people are unhappy, they're dissatisfied, and they're basically on their way out the door. So what good companies do, and my favorite story is, I don't know if you've heard of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise, it started off as a little company where they rented used cars to people who were having their cars repaired, and they didn't have loaners, if you like. And so they read this and they called the company and they said, we really like this. How do we install it in our company? And they showed them how. Enterprise went from being a little bucket shop in a parking garage in downtown St. Louis to the biggest car rental company in the world. And the way they did that is they taught every single person at every level of the company that had contacts with customers to ask this question over and over again. So you check in. And so I read this and I was taking a trip, and I flew into Oakland, which is near San Francisco. And I went up to the counter and I said, I've got a car rental. And they said, da-da-da-da-da, very pleasant, very cheerful, everything else. And then when I finished, I was supposed to go out and get my car. And they said, before you go, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate my service to you
Wow.
today? And would you recommend me to others? And I said, well, I had just read the book, and this is why I was going to Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And so I gave him my grade. I went out, and as I got about halfway to the car, somebody came running toward me, and it was one of the people. And instead of them waiting for me to get there, they had phoned and said, new customers coming in. And so they ran out and they took me back. And then they helped me with this and they helped me with that. And every single time they said, on a scale of 1 to 10, what grade would you give me in terms of recommending me to others? And every single touching point with
You asked that.
Enterprise was just like it was in the book, like it written in the book. And that was a few years before they became the biggest company in the world. So everybody in your staff, and don't worry about saying, well, isn't that a little bit obtrusive and so on. No, have it train all of the people who touch your customers to ask them, oh, by the way, on a scale of 1 to 10, what grade would you give us in terms of recommending us to others?
Amazing.
Or on a scale of 1 to 10, would you recommend us to others? And listen really closely. And what Enterprise did, and then every other company did it, is they began to promote people and reward people and bonus people and move people up based on their scores, their cumulative scores. And it's a most remarkable thing. And so I told my staff, I had a large staff at that time, and 2 of them were flying from California to Florida, and they arrived at the airport and they hadn't made arrangements to rent a car. And they remembered my story, so they went up to the counter for car rentals, and they went to the Enterprise car rentals, and he said it was as though they had sat in on our meeting. Every word that you said that they gave you in Oakland, they gave you here, and so you can do the same thing. It's because your future is determined by the number of people who give you referrals. As you look at every person that you talk to in your business as being a potential source of 5 more patients. And they will more than willingly refer you 5 more people if you just ask the question. Now, what if they give you a question? This is really important. If you're determined to become financially independent in this industry, what if they give you a lousy grade? If they give you a 9 or a 10, that's really good. That means you're smoking. You're doing wonderful work. And if they give your staff a 9 or a 10, I mean, reward them, bonus them, thank them, lead a hand of applause for them. This is really important. And what if they give you a lousy grade? Let's say they give you anything other than a 9 or a 10. What do you do? And obviously you know the answer. You ask them, what will we have to do next time to earn a 10?
Right? Oh, nice.
And they'll tell you. They say, well, if you would just do this, or if you just do that, do more of this or less of that, then I would give you a 10. And here's what they found. You say, okay, we'll do it. And then you do it. Your customers, your clients, your patients, if you like, will tell you what you need to do to become rich with patients. They'll tell you, if you just do more of this or less of that, then I would give you a 10. And then you go and you do it. And then you call them back, you phone them, you visit them, you do whatever you can and say, I took your advice, we did this the very next time, and it was really helpful. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And that person will move you straight up to a 10. And from then on, they'll only do business with you because you took their advice and you acted on it and you did it. And there's a really important thing. You've heard of the little phrase, a need for speed. Customers, clients, patients, whatever, have a need for speed. And everything that you do, if you do it fast, they like you more. They love you. You make them happy. Their hearts pump custard because they gave you a piece of feedback and you acted on it immediately. And so that's something that's very important. Acting on a piece of feedback a week or a month from now is as if you did nothing at all. But if you immediately act on their feedback and then tell them you acted on their feedback and thank them for their
Yeah.
feedback. They will have a vested interest in making you successful.
Very nice. I was once taught that a prompt response, like for instance, emails, a prompt response is better than the perfect response at times.
Yes, yes. Even, here's a simple thing that I've spoken now face to face to more than 5 million people in more than 5,000 talks and seminars in 84 countries. And I almost always tell my clients, my sales clients, is that even if you don't have the answer, tell them I don't have the answer, but I'll give you the answer. If I don't know for sure, I'll find out, but I'll get back to you quickly. Just even telling them that you're not going to be able to tell them will cause them to like you and trust you and want to do business with you.
Brian, I just want to be respectful of your time because I know you have to run, but I just wanted to say that was freaking amazing. Honestly, I can't tell you, there was those steps, the golden nuggets, and I can't tell you how much it's going to help us all serve better, have more abundance for our families, our lives, and by more abundance, help more people, etc. And if you wouldn't mind, if you've got a second, what I want to do is I just quickly want to ask you, just in the group, first of all, just write down one golden nugget that you heard from Brian. Phenomenal advice, Brian. This is gold dust. Thank you, Brian. Just write down one thing that was like golden. So I can just let Brian already ordered your book, Brian. People coming through. What was one piece of advice, that one golden nugget now that you heard from Brian that was just like, was it that question? Your customers will make you rich. Objections are good. Listening builds trust. Needs to be a 9 or 10. Don't have price neurosis. Score 1 to 10 will make you rich. Objections mean they're interested. What would I need to do to become a 10? Gold. Spend 80% or 90% of your time activities and existing customers, creating more customers. Start with yourself. Build trust. Sale, second sale, and then friends. Anyway, they're all coming through. Brian, thank you so much for your time today, and just giving so abundantly and being with us. And my crew is going to spend more time with you at our mastermind. But I just want to thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it so much. Your team and you've all been amazing.
Thank you. Let me leave you with this one thought that which helped me, which has helped so many hundreds of thousands of professionals, is just talking to yourself. We say you become what you think about most of the time. But you also become what you say to yourself. And so we say affirmations, 95% of your emotions are determined by how you talk to yourself. And so how do you talk to yourself? Well, what people tell me is, here's the magic words. You get up in the morning and you say, I like myself and I love my work. I like myself. I love my work. I like myself. I love my work. I like myself. I love my. You cannot say those words 5 times without feeling great. Your self-esteem goes up, you smile, you're happy, you hug your wife, you feel good about yourself. I like myself. I love my work. I like myself. I love my work. And pretty soon this locks in and this becomes your worldview. And people can feel it. They can sense that you like yourself and they can sense that you love your work. And that's why they want to do business with you. And everybody working with you should say the same thing. I like myself. I love my work. I like myself. I love my work. And if you repeat it often enough, you drill it down deep into your subconscious mind, and it just becomes automatic. You wake up in the morning and you just feel great about yourself. And everybody can feel it, and they want to be around you, and they want to be your patient, and they want to recommend their friends to you.
Awesome. Brian, thank you so much. You've given so abundantly of your time tonight, everything like that. Everyone, if you please do me a big favor, a lot of you will see Brian again at our next mastermind. I just want to say, if you can, Brian, there's a whole bunch of people you can see, and there's people you can't see in the webinar version. But can everyone please do me a big favor? Brian, thank you so much for your time. Can you please give Brian Tracy a huge round of applause?
Thank you, Ryan. And thank you for being here. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you soon. Awesome. Hey, guys, how was that? Cool, right? Amazing. I appreciate you guys for being here. Cubs, great to see you. Sandberg, cool. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you would agree that it's impossible for your life, your business, your abundance, your sales to not go up? How many think it's impossible for you not to have better something of those after the session? It's freaking impossible. Like I guarantee you just implement one of those questions. I guarantee you one of those understandings. It's there was just gold. And listen, I know I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. I have got, just before we finish, just a few announcements, and then there are 2 more people. I just wanted to quickly get up here because their results have been really cool with sales. Just to reiterate that this is possible. If you wouldn't mind bearing with me for 2 seconds. Those of you that want to find out, by the way, we've got 250 people already registered for the early notification for my course becomes live on Saturday. 250 people have already applied to do that. I'm only taking 20 docs. I'm only working with serious docs, just so you know, it's not right for everyone, but I'll let you guys know first. We will sell out on that. It's different to what I've done before. Normally it's like classes of 100. I'm not doing that. We're doing 20 people on the class who are taking through the process of relaunching their practice. So all from module 1, we're helping them with a whole bunch of processes with emails. We're going to give them scripts and templates, etc. Module 2, I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to give them access to my sales and conversion masterclass. Module 3, which will be new customer acquisition, which we're going to teach on Saturday, but they're going to get access to that too. And those people that join will get a guest pass ticket to my next live mastermind, which will have Brian Tracy and Les Brown in it, by the way, just so you guys know. So listen, here's a quick one. I want to ask a quick question before you go. I would like, actually, is Chen, guys, I just want you to listen to these 2 stories and then you can go. So Chen, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. So Chen, tell us, where do you practice in the world?
Okay, so I'm from Malaysia, and yeah, I've been practicing for a few years now, and I just started my own practice last year. Last year.
Awesome. So Chen, we had a very interesting call about sales, and you at the time hadn't like set up structures for pre-selling care plans, etc. Tell us a little bit about what happened when you set it up the way I taught you. What happened to your sales? What happened to your conversions? I don't even know the results actually, by the way, before you say them, but I know you said you've had some good results. So tell me about them.
Yes. So before the pandemic, before the lockdown, so I'm mostly doing per visit sales. So I've been seeing around 150 to 200 a week, and during lockdown period, that's where we went to the drawing board and we look back into our strategy, how we're selling, and I'm actually converting most of my sales to membership and plans.
Yeah.
And yeah, we use the strategy that you mentioned earlier, which is increasing the frequency, increasing the price, increasing the chance for them to pay us, and and just running through the numbers. In May, when I just get back to the office, I'm seeing half of the numbers I'm seeing, but I'm actually earning more than what I'm seeing before.
So you're seeing half the numbers from lockdown, but you're earning more money because you've brought in a process for people to pay in advance and to care plans and take that. I remember you messaged me and you were like, almost your exact message was, I can't believe it's just working.
It is. I can't believe it. I was surprised. I know that I'll come back. I bounced back from the pandemic, but I didn't know that I bounced back so early.
Oh, awesome. Chen, well, that's amazing, man. And listen, guys, I will be teaching this process more in depth, but it's Chen, was it difficult?
No, it's not. It's just a lot of hard work, a lot of
just positioning, just changing the way you present the care plans, just changing the way you do that. I know you've had awesome results with new patients too, but I'm super proud of you, dude. You show up, you implement, you're incredible. Please give Chen a huge round of applause. You're awesome. And then thanks, Chen. Awesome. And then I actually just thought, guys, it'd be really interesting for you to hear from one of my associates. Some of the works with us, runs an amazing program, a group called the Lions of Chiropractic. Also, you check it out. And it was interesting. Prior to this, he said to me, yes, dude, I implemented that one strategy. So there's a cash flow driver, right? There's times in your business where you need cash. So you have to implement a strategy at times that'll shift that for you, right? So we did this at one of our docs in Dallas or in Texas, brought in $10,000 extra just for doing the strategy. So where's Connor? Connor, say hi. We're unmute there. I think you're unmuted.
Hello,
there.
everybody.
Cool. How's it
Rieder.
going? Tell us a little bit. I know you were like, I can't believe I've implemented a few little things. What did you do? How did it work? And what advice do you have?
Well, I mean, first off, I'm one of the ones working in your trenches. I work in this lovely building here, House of Care Group in Surbiton. And, you know, the thing is that you guys are being taught all of these systems in place. I lived these systems, and thankfully during lockdown, because HALSA is so good at keeping all these things in place, I was able to divert some of my energy from just keeping in contact with people, but also then into doing the Lions and everything else that I do. But the strategy that we discussed was that we needed to really automate what we were doing. We needed to get those sales of the sort of long-term plans and the membership in place. And then we also just heavily incentivized, as people started to get more nervous about coming in and booking as a new client, we really just focused on trying to get as many spousal referrals, friends and family referrals through the door, and then getting those people onto incentivized care plans, so that if they were buying an even bigger package, we could potentially offer more of a discount if both of them started at once. And it worked really well in practice. You know, I'm back in practice, although with all the PPE in place, I'm seeing pretty close to the numbers I was seeing pre-lockdown. And so I'm testament to say that the systems work.
Well, it's what's very interesting though, Connor, is that we did change strategy because of an external force. And sometimes there's this conception, there's this perception that, you know, just do your thing, don't change. But there was a really big outside force. And what we brought in was just a period where people were coming in. So one of the most difficult periods that I found was to go through the process of selling the thing, whatever it is, was kind of the week or two prior to lock. People could feel it coming, right? So how did you, with so much distrust in the marketplace, and we responded appropriately, and we had a little extra because of coronavirus, because of lockdown, we're adding this special, and it worked like freaking gangbusters, right? It worked really well. But it's just a lesson to pivot at times. Any tips you can give to anyone before we close?
So that was it. It was we had a special Corona discount of an extra 10% off if two people started at once. You know, our standard discount wouldn't go less than 20% normally, but it was a one-off 30% discount for a package of 55 adjustments. So
family thing. It was just positioning it in such a way, and it was just a small change that made a big difference.
Exactly.
But, thank you for taking the time to come share with us and everything. And guys, please check out the Lions of Chiropractic. It's pretty awesome group. I think many of you, who's on the group? Many of you on the group, right? Awesome. So Connor's doing an awesome job there. Connor, thanks for sharing with us, bro.
No problem. Thank you. Great webinar tonight.
Thanks, dude. Listen, everyone, I hope you had a great time. My crew, please, in the group, make sure you write down your aha moments. A couple announcements. Those of you who want to find out about Infusionsoft, just reach out, please. I think that it'll come across the bottom. And then Saturday, let me talk about Saturday. That is different time. That is, I believe, 3 p.m. UK time. And I believe it's 9 a.m. Central, I believe. It's the big one. I'm going to show you guys how to generate new patients right now. It's become insanely difficult at times, and now we're just starting to get the hang of it. I'm going to give you strategies. I'm going to give you templates, and we've got the legend himself, Mr. Les Brown, coming. One of my favorite speakers of all time, and an amazing human being. I can't even tell you, if you get an opportunity to ask him a question, please do it, because he always does something. He always does something special for the person to ask a question. Just a little tip there. So love and appreciate you guys. At my next mastermind, he'll also be joining us. Those of you you'll get sent the replay. In the replay, there'll be a button there to put yourself on the early notification list for the event coming on, or for the masterclass that opens up registration. You'll be let know that known first. So that'll be sent out on Saturday. If you want to be on that list, we'll tell you when it opens first. Otherwise, I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't joined the Lockdown to Relaunch Facebook group, go do that and put your aha moments, what you learned from it tonight. I love and appreciate you guys. I'll see you Saturday. There's some special guests on Saturday, special gifts on Saturday, and it's the big one. It's the big one Saturday. So I love and appreciate you guys. I'll let you go. Have an amazing evening. I want to be respectful of your time. See you guys later.